X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time.
Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled mind. Why do they just stand there against when they fall from the battles I have overcome? You feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep vaping with my mill, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled mind. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You'll see now, watch me not now, punch your face now. Let me show you how.
whole situation. Hassan is only ever right by coincidence? I wouldn't say that. That's a little bit extreme. I actually still remember when Hassan did the debate with Jay Schlatt with communism versus capitalism. It was funny as hell. Huh. Yeah, it does sound like it would be pretty good. I mean, Hassan's a funny guy. It's just he's gotten so deep into being a shithead tanky, it's hard to appreciate any humor in his content. You know, the person producing it's not a really good person. And, like, I can even appreciate the humor of shithead conservatives sometimes and, like, separate the art from the artist, but it's harder to separate the art from the artist when it's a shithead lefty. I'm sure for reasons that you guys can understand, at also being progressives. Alright, guys. Actually, very quickly, I want to ask you guys something. We've got a lot of people here already, by the way. Really cool. Thank you for coming out, everybody. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate the support. But very quickly, I want to ask you guys, what countries, if you feel comfortable saying, are you watching from today? You don't need to say state or anything or specify, just country. Makes it easier for me to read if you just say country. USA, UK. I'm gonna ignore anyone who says a state. USA, Canada, USA, Canada, America, Germany, America, Canada, United States, USA, US, land of beer, cheese, and freedom, America, Canada, Merca, USA, Versailles, which is in France, or no, it's in France, isn't it? Yeah, Versailles? Yeah, Treaty of Versailles, France, yeah. I need to go to Europe one day, guys. It needs to become real to me. It's not real till I go there. USSR, USA, Super Earth, USA. Yeah, it's France. Yeah, I figure. I really do need to go to Europe, guys. One day, though. One day I'll go to Europe. One day I will make my great pilgrimage to the land of the Eurocucks, and I will spread my DNA throughout the land, because as a hot young American guy, all the European women are going to be crawling to get to me like the zombies in World War Z. I'm going to go to Europe. I'm going to be like Genghis Khan. I'm going to be spreading my genetics. Like, everyone's going to be related to me, dude. Like, every future European generation. What the fuck did I just join? I love that, like, every time I'm midway through a bit, someone joins the stream and is like, what the fuck? The stream might not be for you if you can't vibe with the irreverent bits. Mr. Krabs, thank you for the $2 super chat. I really appreciate it. Said, Zan, I got a fresh meme for you in chat. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And you just sent it here. Thank you so much.
Get this over with.
Another Mario Party clip. Let's look at this. Let's see what this is about.
Wait, what?
Mario time!
I love the
You don't go to
there.
Europe and only
It's
go to
so
one
perfect.
country,
That's how you know
Galaxy
it's a crispy Wario time. If it cuts out...
Wario
Wario
time.
Wario time!
Hit if I was slightly closer.
Alright. In the future, I am vetoing the Wario time spam, because we actively lose viewers when it happens. I really hate to, but some of you guys just send really bizarre videos when you donate videos for me to watch, and sometimes they're very cringe, and I'll watch them, but a lot of viewers watching the stream won't, and I can see them leave live, so that's never fun. But thank you for the dono, I appreciate it. tiny
800
village. This is why, if I go to Europe, guys, you need to understand, if I go to Europe, I'm ready to go to like 12 or more European countries, okay? This shit is crazy to me, how much Europeans, like, take a small distance, at least in my mind, and blow it out of proportion. If something is only a day's drive away in America, that's a big deal. That's close. That's, like, worth going to. It's so close. You know? Like, anyway, here we go.
74 square miles is larger than not just London, but half of the English counties.
We've got
Hello,
cities
I'm
larger
Lawrence,
than
I'm on a quest
entire
to uncover all of the memos that
counties
Britain and America
in the
lost in
UK.
the pond, and one of those memos pertains to size. They say that size doesn't matter, but have they looked at a map recently? Because it does matter when you move from Britain to the United States of America. You see, somebody once said that the biggest difference between Britain and America is that Americans think that 100 years is a long time and that the British think that 100 miles is a long way. And I definitely used to think like
we don't
this.
have any
For instance,
castles.
I used to think that travelling from my hometown of Grimsby to the city of Manchester was a long way, even though it was only 100 miles.
There's something, like, as an American who's grown up and lived in, like, such a vast country my whole life, there's a certain awesomeness about the vastness of it. Like, cross-country road trips being, like, a week-long undertaking, being a thing, like, that I've done before and had throughout my life. It's a neat thing. It's a unique thing when you think about it, too. But at the same time, I look at, like, particularly Britain, like the UK, and people who live there, and it looks so cozy, if that makes sense. To live on this, like, island that you could technically walk across in less than 4 days, less than 3 days, if you're just walking for, assuming you don't rest, I assume, right? Like, man, that's, everything is so close. And I get that everything is not as car compliant, you know, not everything is as, like, you know, done for the sake of driving in cars, because public transport and walking is so common, and so is biking. But still, I mean, the fact that people, say in York, complain about having to visit family in Hull once a year seems crazy to me. Because if you look at a map of Florida, for example, this is probably the same distance between, like, Spring Hill and Tampa, which is the distance I had to go just to see the rest of my family, like, a few times a month. You know, just living in Florida for years of my life. It's really bizarre.
My hometown of Grimsby to the city of Manchester was a long way, even though it was only 100 miles. But after moving to the United States, where long-distance commutes and cross-country
100
road
miles
trips
is
are not that
nothing
unusual,
in
I soon
America.
realised that Americans viewed 100 miles as no biggie. And as somebody who now fairly frequently does the commute from Chicago to Indianapolis, I have fallen in line with my American.
That is straight up the width of the little narrow part where Manchester is of the UK. Represented as a small, not even intrastate drive. It's not even a drive that takes you into another state. You just look at that. It actually might, because Chicago, I think, is technically in, yeah. Anyway, though, like, look at that. That really goes to show what I mean when I say America's fucking big. And that's why I'm ready to see a lot of European countries.
Comrades. But just in case you don't believe me, or in case you're one of those British people that I often hear about, that comes to the United States and expects to see New York City, Las Vegas, San Francisco, and the Grand Canyon all in one weekend, then allow me to present to you some maps. Some maps that highlight the scale of the United States in all its glory. Let's take a look. Firstly, let's take a look at the United States as a whole. If we include land and water, which we will be doing throughout this video, the United States has a total area of about 3.8 million square miles. In that respect, it could contain 40 not just Britons, but UKs. And for clarification, the UK is Britain plus Northern Ireland. The biggest country within the United Kingdom is my home country of England. And you've almost certainly heard that the United States has an entire region named after it. Let's have a look at how they compare. As the United
Let's
States
see how
goes,
big
New England is a
is.
relatively small area of land comprising 6 states: Maine,
Just this
New
little
Hampshire,
bit.
Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island.
The
And despite
upper
the
right
fact
part.
that 5 of those states feature in a list of the 7 smallest, the New England states combined are almost 22,000 square miles bigger than England. In fact, you could throw in Wales and Northern Ireland and New England would still come out on top. But even when you add in Scotland, there are certain other states that are bigger than
And that's the compact, cramped part of the country, dude. Like that is literally the part of the country that I easily forget the orientation of the states because they're so small and cramped together up there, and it's such a small little sliver of the country up in the Northeast. And that alone is larger than the whole of the UK. Okay? Like when I go to Europe, I'm going to a lot of Europe. I'm trying to see as much as I can when that happens one day. Yo, Mr. Krabs, thank you for the $2 super chat. I really appreciate it. Said, alrighty, one more meme from me and it not Wario time. Okay, thank God it's not Wario time.
I'll fight the Vern Nation!
Oh, yeah, I went for Nick here. I went for Nick. You can put
the
your controller
Vern
down.
Nation.
Go.
I straight up
It is indeed Mario Party, though.
Where's he going?
to the Vern Nation!
We bring other people to the Vern Nation?
The Vern Nation? The Vern Nation starvation.
Well, I'll say I hate the leader of the Vern Nation, that's why. There's no opportunity in the Vern Nation. That's it!
Oh!
Yes!
The Vern
Yes!
Nation! It's 20 low. Getting new fans. The Vern... It's not a
I don't get the
Minecraft,
joke.
It's funny game without the Vern Nation.
I knew it.
No, so intense!
Yes! No! The Vern Nation! But he's a leader. He is a leader of the Vern Nation, not a follower of the Kingdom of Skill.
Should be!
Yeah, baby! Leader of the Vern Nation!
Fun.
Why am I like this? Wait, what? Where? I
You guys are
Listen, One Piece, I appreciate the donations, but you know that, like, this is a game I've never played, a group of content creators I don't know, and these are clips of inside jokes I don't have the context to understand, right? I'm not going to, but people in YouTube chat are telling me to ban you. Listen, all I'm saying is, it may be prudent to suggest videos when donating that are a little more appealing to a wider audience, that's less of a niched, hyper-niched clip, you know what I mean? That requires context to understand, you know? You know? You know what I'm saying? You get what you picking up what I'm putting down? Nothing but YouTube link. What's
Batman.
this? AI scripted Batman comic. What? Okay, let's check this out.
Batman stands next to his Batmobile and uses his Batcomputer. He's sometimes Bruce Wayne, sometimes Batman, all times Orphan.
This is now a safe city. I have punched a penguin into prison.
Alfred, Batman's loyal battler, carries a tray of Gotham.
Eat a dinner, Mattress Wayne.
An explosion explodes. Joker is a clown, but insane. Two-Face is a man, but attorney.
No, it is Two-Face and One-Face. They hate me for being a bat.
Batman throws Alfred at Two-Face. Two-Face flips Alfred like a coin. Alfred lands heads up, which means Two-Face goes home.
It is just you and I, the Joker. Bat versus clown. Moral enemies.
I am such a freak. Society is bad. You drink water. I drink anarchy.
I drink bats, just like a bat would.
Batman looks around for his parents, but they are still dead. This makes him have
That goes
anger.
crazy.
He fires a bat rocket. The Joker deflects it with his sick sense of humor. A clowny power. I have never followed a rule. That is my rule. Don't you follow? I don't.
Alfred, give birth to Robin.
Alfred begins the process, since it is his job. The Joker now has a present in his hand. He juggles it over to Batman.
Happy Bat Day, Birthman.
Batman opens the present since he's a good guy. It contains a coupon for new parents, but is expired. This is a Joker joke.
This is a Joker joke. He looks around for his parents, but they are still dead. God. And you guys say AI is evil. And you guys don't like AI. I'm telling you. Get with the times, guys. This is peak comedy. Man, I hope Kamala Harris wins. I certainly do, Bango the Buck. Anyway, thank you for the $5, Pepper T21. I really do appreciate it. Very kind of you. Thanks for the funny video as well. That's a good one. Alrighty. Let's get the first segment of the day underway. Zan, did you see that the Villages is supporting Harris? That's crazy. If Trump loses the Villages vote, then Trump might lose the election legitimately, because those are some of the most hardcore Trump country Trump voters out there, dude. Like, if they can be swayed from voting for Trump, dude. You don't even know, man. That's Trump's core base in the Villages in Florida. If they're not supporting Trump anymore, then that's news to me, for one, and that's big fucking news as well. So I hope you're not just pulling that out of your ass, War Penguin, because that's big, if that's true. Big, if true, if you will. The site is better. The site chat is a lot better than YouTube chat. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Zan, can I touch you? No, I'd prefer not to. I'd prefer if you did not touch me. I don't like being touched. Not like Sam Bridges' level of not liking to be touched, but I really don't like being touched without like seeing it coming. Especially like if someone grabs me or touches me when I'm not like I don't see it coming, it freaks me out like a lot. I don't like it. Anyway, Ride the Rails, thank you for the $5. I really appreciate it. Very kind of you. Said, hey Zan, my provincial election is coming up and I had a question. What do you think about strategic voting? One party is pushing everything I could ask for, but they have like 0 chance of winning. I actually talked about this in my recent segment about the Green Party and Jill Stein. The strategic voting thing is a psyop, okay? You need to make sure you put all the support you can possibly put behind the party that is the most likely to win and keep like the far-right populists out of power. There's never going to be a like split or schism in power among like populists. They're always going to coalesce together to try to take over. And if the voters don't get together and put all their effort into keeping them out of power, then you lose democracy. It's just that simple. You don't get to have principle-based votes when, you know, the fall of the Weimar Republic is happening, right? Like, you need to focus on ensuring the Nazis don't take power. Because you know what the Nazis took advantage of, right? Like, there's many words you can call it, but really, just to put it all under one big umbrella, it was populism. The Nazis took advantage of populist sentiment. And all the people who agreed with the nonsense talking points of the Nazi Party and their populist bullshit about isolationism and the German people and the German working class, they fell in line, voted for and supported the Nazi Party, and eventually there weren't elections and there wasn't democracy in Germany anymore. Obviously, the Hitler-Nazi comparison is extreme, but, like, you know, there's definitely parallels there. There's parallels, for sure. And my point being, like, no one looks back and regards the centrists during the rising of the Nazi Party as good people, or as, no, people look back at them very poorly. Don't make yourself a modern version of those people who the history will look back on just as poorly. You know what I mean? Maybe all the normal conservatives becoming Democrats will lead us to getting a proper left-leaning party. Probably not, but a hope nonetheless. I would honestly say the Democrat Party isn't... There's not going to be a new party that ends up being the left-leaning party. The Democrat Party is just going to keep getting more progressive. Right now... There was a time when people with the politics of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were the small, radical All right, guys. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, guys. There is a secret influencer group, a cabal, if you will, that is influencing and convincing the minds of countless people who are millennials to Gen Z. And this cabal of content creators are called podcasters. That's right, we're talking about podcasts today. Sort of. You see, podcasts are actually one of the most consumed forms of entertainment out there now. A lot of people's lives center around mundane, repetitive tasks these days. Like, let's be real, that's like 90% of existing as a human in this year of our Lord 2024. And really, the best thing that people have kind of gravitated towards to fill in the gap, fill in the dead air, and make it a little more enjoyable, maybe YouTube videos, maybe music, but podcasts have become massive. They are audio-focused experiences that can range from anything as far as, like, there are some podcasts I really love. One of them is actually Q-Code. This hardly is a podcast, but technically, definitionally is one. Q-Code makes audio dramas adapting horror stories, usually, like creepypastas and stuff. They've done it with Left Right Game and Nebraska. Really good stuff. Technically a podcast. Love it. It's like watching a TV show, but it's all audio. Like, you can close your eyes and see the scene happening in your mind because the audio design and everything is so good. There's sound effects, music, all that stuff. And then on top of that, you've got, like, Joe Rogan Experience, which... a lot of problems with Joe Rogan and his podcast, believe me, don't get me started on it, but it is the most influential and viewed podcast in the world. Joe Rogan might be one of the biggest influencers on the planet, like one of the most influential people on the planet, which is a terrifying thought, but it is true. And so knowing how big of a deal podcasts are, it was inevitable that the world of politics and the world of podcasts would clash. And it seems like in the landscape of rumors that have been going around lately that Trump might end up going on Joe Rogan, or that Trump is going to be going, it has been going on podcasts lately. Kamala Harris, who is locked in hard on the election, is now making her own podcast appearances. She recently went on a podcast with nearly 1 million subscribers on YouTube called Call Her Daddy, which is very much an interesting podcast name, but we're going to be watching it in a second and see what it's all about. And on top of that, there are rumors. Prepare yourselves, guys. There are rumors. It is in the works. Kamala Harris's campaign is working on it, TM, of Kamala Harris going on Joe Rogan. I'm not joking, guys. That is currently being worked on. She is attempting to make that happen. Kamala Harris wants to go on Joe Rogan before the election. That would be enormous. Huge. Unimaginably huge, dude. But, in the meantime, she is starting the podcast circuit with the Call Her Daddy podcast. And she's used the platform to, well, basically to spread her message and particularly, no doubt, debunk misinformation being pushed about her. So I figured we ought to watch this clip of her on the podcast. It's not very long either. I don't think most of her podcast appearances are going to end up being super long, considering she has weeks until the election and needs to be constantly either in front of a crowd or going to a new crowd. So it's understandable this is pretty short, but it makes it a lot more digestible for the sake of covering on stream, so I can't really complain all that much. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this. I've not seen any of it yet. I am going in fully blind here. So I hope you guys are ready. Let's do this.
At a rally in Pennsylvania, former President Trump recently told women, "You will be protected and I will be your protector." What do you make of that?
Well, where do we start?
He who, when he was president, hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court.
I'm glad she started with the policy thing. I would have just started with he's a rapist. I would have just started with, okay, how many rape allegations does Trump have against him? How many was he, like, fully charged for and found, like guilty of? Like, it would be... That would have been the ultimate way to start, if I'm being honest. Yeah, my internet flubbed for a second, by the way, guys. That wasn't stream going down. It was just I dropped 360 frames. It was just a stutter. Streams have actually been really stable for a while now. They did work on my infrastructure in my area. It knocked out my internet for a day. But when it came back, besides like the first day where it was a little shoddy, after that, it's been really good besides like occasional things. It's full on down for me. That's just you, Majestic Discomfort. Anyway, back to it. I am glad she started, like I said, with the Supreme Court picks that ended up axing Roe v. Wade. But as a person, Donald Trump saying that, like, I'm going to protect women, I will be your protector, when he is notably, like, decided by the court system, a danger to women. That's where I would start. Like, if we're doing a character trial here, I guess, of Trump, you know? But then, of course, on a policy level, he'll, of course, be hurting women, too. Every woman in America will be hurt by him, even if he can't reach them with his tiny little hands.
Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did just as he intended. And there are now 20 states with Trump abortion bans, including bans that make no exception for rape or incest, which we just discussed, which means...
Including bans that confuse and scare doctors away from performing life-saving procedures on people with uteruses, as Anna Kasparian would scream in rage at hearing me say, might have to go through. There are countless people who are going to need procedures that eliminate their ability to have children in the future. My mom just had to have one of those procedures. And there are red states right now where doctors will refuse to give you that procedure, even if it will save your life, and they will tell you that to your face because they don't know if they're going to end up in prison for performing it. Because the laws are purposefully written so vague that the doctors don't know where the lines start and end. And it's on purpose. They write the laws so vague that on paper it's hard to point to too many overt problems for the sake of, like, you know, the culture war stuff. They don't want any easy, routes of attack for the left. But then on the flip side, they simultaneously have so much broadness there that the actual application of the law goes further than it even writes out, because doctors will they don't want to push it.
Means that you're telling a survivor of a crime, of a violation to their body, they don't have a right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral. So this is the same guy that is now saying that. This is the same guy who said that women should be punished for having abortions.
He did say that.
This is the same guy who uses the kind of language he does to describe women. So...
grab him by the pussy.
There you go.
I do want to focus on abortion for a moment because 2 years ago, Roe v. Wade was overturned and women lost their constitutional right to an abortion. I put out an episode about it. I flew to North Carolina. Yeah. I went to a preferred women's health center. I met with women that were getting screamed at and chanted at and called baby killers, and it was the most eye-opening experience I've ever had, because I am a privileged white woman that lives in Los Angeles, and I am so aware of that. I understand that
they even exist in LA, by the way. You can be in New York, LA, doesn't matter, most progressive area in the country. If you go to an abortion clinic, you may very well see a crowd, or hell, just a Planned Parenthood. There aren't really abortion clinics. It's not really a thing. There are, like, reproductive health clinics, like Planned Parenthood. And if they offer abortions or not, doesn't matter, you have a very good chance of seeing a crowd of conservative Christian voters that have, like, trucked themselves out as far as an hour to 10 hours, from 10 hours away, to go to that specific place to protest. Like, even in LA or New York, you can't escape that stuff if you're someone trying to get the services of Planned Parenthood. You might be pregnant, having no plans of terminating the pregnancy. You're just there for prenatal care, and you're going to get screamed at and called a baby killer. And you live in fucking LA. Like, that is fully possible. There's not, like, a magical barrier that keeps the chuds out of the big cities. They migrate in to post their bullshit, trust.
A lot of the younger generation sees things online and is like, what is right, what is wrong, what is real, what is not. Can you explain and talk about what is actually happening to abortion access right now in this country?
Yeah. So again, I thank you for what you've been doing and at the earliest stage of this and following the stories. So, on public policy, I often tell my team, look, I don't want to hear about public policy is a fancy kind of speech or paper. Tell me how it'll affect a real person. So let's talk about how it affects a real person. The majority of women who receive abortion care are mothers. So if she's in a state, and by the way, every state in the South.
Like, to be clear, when she says that, she means that most of the women who get abortion care already have kids. This conservative, idea that these single women are just going out and they're having tons of unprotected sex with not a care in the world, and then they go get their, Planned Parenthood punch card to go get their 5th abortion of the month. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. The vast majority of the time when abortion happens, it's either going to be because of unwanted pregnancy due to a very unwanted conception, if you know what I mean. I don't want to use the word for the sake of, upsetting people who might have gone through it. But, obviously that is one of the big reasons. Health issues might be a cause of it. And a lot of the cases might be a woman's already a parent, already raising a kid or kids, gets pregnant and cannot support another child. They're not a baby murderer who just wants to abort a kid to get rid of them and go on living life la-di-da willy-nilly. And you know what? Even if that was the case, they should be allowed to. Just to be clear, by the way, that does not excuse the argument of bodily autonomy, even in that case. But conservatives are so unwilling to tangle with the reality of this health situation that they create stereotypes. They push hard, the idea, the mindset, the perception of what a abortion patient looks like, what they are like, what they want, what their history and desires are. This stereotyping is very harmful, and it's very pervasive. I'm sure you guys know. I don't have to tell you.
Both, except for Virginia, has an abortion ban. Okay? So imagine she's in a state with an abortion ban. 1 out of 3 women are, by the way, in our country. And she's a mom. So she's going to have to figure out, one, God help her if she has affordable childcare. God help her if she has paid leave. And then she's going to have to go to the airport, stand in a TSA line, sit on a plane next to a perfect stranger to go.
If men could get pregnant, abortion would be a sacrament. Here's actually one thing I will say. I dislike the argument that if abortion was something men needed to get, if men could get pregnant, then abortions would be free and available. I do think they wouldn't be banned because there wouldn't be this gender-centered motivation to ban them that sent around controlling women. That factor would probably melt away. I think they would more likely than not be as accessible as vasectomies, because in a lot of ways, the vasectomies and abortions, not exactly the same, but there is most definitely parallel there. And while you can't go and get yourself a free vasectomy, easy peasy lemon squeezy, you'll even get turned away, and doctors will say, oh, you're too young to get one. If you're in your late teens, 18, 19, or 20, 21, 22, in your early 20s. Oftentimes doctors will turn you away. Even if they can be reversed, right? They'll tell you, you don't know what you're thinking. You're going to want to have kids one day. So that type of stuff is still very much a thing, even if you're a guy. I get what the argument is, but it's not the most effective talking point outside of spaces that already agree abortion should be a right. Because if a lot of anti-abortion guys are going to be like, well, no, I tried to get a vasectomy at 21 and the doctor told me no, and I can't go get a free vasectomy. That's pretty close. What do you mean? If men could get abortions, they would be everywhere. And men can get abortions. Trans men can. But you know what I mean.
Go to a city where she's never been to receive the care she needs. She's going to probably have to get right back on that plane because she's got those kids. Her best friend's probably not with her because that's who's taking care of the kids. To get back in that TSA line, to get back on a plane, to go home.
And that's all if they can even afford the plane ticket or the bus ticket.
Exactly.
Because when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I remember my DMs were flooded with thousands of women begging me to help. And it's overwhelming. And I'm
telling you guys, women got to come in clutch this election. If Kamala Harris wins, it's going to be because of that massive, overwhelming margin of women voting for her. Like, this is going to be the election where women prevent fascism. American women got to prevent fascism this election. You know what demographic prevented fascism? Like, straight up, like, look at the voter breakdown. What demographic straight up voted and prevented fascism last election? Black Americans. Black American votes straight up saved all of America from fascism last election. And that's not even a fucking exaggeration or joke. That's not even in the slightest bit a joke or an exaggeration. So, American women's turn to make those votes loud.
Even imagine I'm saying that in front of you, but it's overwhelming. And I remember people begging me, like, I just need to afford a bus ticket so I can get out of this abortion desert that I live in the South, so I can get to a state. But they can't even afford, you know what I mean? So it's like these people are literally landlocked into a position that they don't want to be.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing is that you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government shouldn't be telling her what to do.
Yes.
If she chooses, she'll talk to her priest.
This is the talking point that actually resonates with a lot of middle of the road voters. This is what the Republicans use to get to people. You don't want the government doing or saying so and so about what you do, right? But then they're the ones who push for these extremely overreaching authoritarian policies. The Dems leaning heavier on the libertarian aspects of their politics compared to the Republicans is huge. America is a libertarian country. The politics of Americans, on average, if you were to really break it down, lean libertarian, left or right. That is where people are. Americans don't like authoritarianism. They just don't, especially not when they are the ones having it done to them by the government. So appealing to the fact that the Republicans are evidently and provably more authoritarian than the Dems, really good point to help secure that like middle of the road normie voter. You know what I mean?
Her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government telling you what to do. And that's what's so outrageous about it, is a bunch of these guys up in these state capitals are writing these decisions because they somehow have decided that they're in a better position to tell you what's in your best interest.
Holy shit. I need to learn how to do that. I detected it because I'm a streamer, but that was a stealth burp. Kamala Harris hit the stealth burp. She like leaned back and just went, like it's one of those burps that comes while you're talking and you can't, like, you barely see it coming. When you're a public speaker, you don't just suddenly have like a robot body, right? Like when you're a big streamer or a politician, you have to learn skills to overcome your like bodily urge to like itch your face, which can just look weird. Like imagine you're watching a speech and Kamala Harris goes and does this. Doesn't sound like much, but if you saw it, it would stand out and be kind of weird. Like when you're like a big public speaker, you kind of have to like get good at avoiding those things. That was cool. I noticed that. Public speaking moment.
Then you are to know what's in your own best interest. It's outrageous.
It's outrageous. I mean, daddy gang, to put it in our TikTok terms, I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, do you know where a tampon goes? Do you know how many tampons we use? Do you even know how, like, do you know what a X or Y or Z is of a part of our, and they don't know.
I've joked about this for years, like, which hole does what? But, like, I'm pretty sure the majority of conservatives probably believe that the tampon goes in the piss hole. Like, I'm pretty sure most conservatives don't know that vaginas have multiple holes and that, like, you don't put tampons in the one the pee comes out of. Like, I'm pretty sure conservatives don't know there's a difference between the vagina and the urethra. like itself. They don't understand that anatomy. Like conservatives legitimately don't understand anatomy. Like, oh my God, who remembers the pastor? But I've brought this up before. This shit goes crazy. Who knows that pastor that famously said that women can be made pregnant using the like eraser end of a pencil because it just requires pressure on a certain spot. And so technically, the man played no real part in any form of conception, which just makes no sense. Like when you think about it for 5 seconds, like how's DNA work at that point? But like this was a legitimate talking point from a conservative like pastor and politician like over a decade ago to try and argue against abortion, basically suggesting that only women had like culpable responsibility in their own pregnancy. Like trying to add, like take away even more culpability from the man in the situation. That is some unhinged logic from the pastor. I mean, have you read the Bible? Have you ever seen what Christians believe? That's actually one of the least unhinged things that he might think.
No, the answer.
I was the first vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic ever.
Really?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I didn't know that, but I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. To your point.
And yet the men are making the decisions about our bodies.
And here's the other thing about this point, it's about IVF treatments and access. It's about access to contraception, which is very much at risk with these folks. It is about, back to the point about reproductive health clinics. You know what those clinics also do? They do PAPs. They do breast cancer screenings. They do HIV testing.
Prenatal care.
And they're having to close in many places with these bans. So think about the fact that for anyone who has gone to one of these clinics, you understand that it is sometimes the most...
I do think the Dems should hammer home that the Republicans aren't just banning abortion services. They're banning sexual health services that extend to prenatal care. So there are, like, these clinics are also one of the premier places to go to ensure your pregnancy is healthy, to get, like, prenatal vitamins, stuff like that, to check up and get ultrasounds, hell, to, like she said before, to get pap smears and other forms of reproductive health tests to check for cancer and stuff, your screenings. These are important services that have nothing to do with the conservatives have decided to politicize, say, Planned Parenthood around, but that is all that gets focused on. There are a lot of people that don't know the majority of services that Planned Parenthood, for example, offers have nothing to do with abortion or preventing or canceling pregnancies, but instead promoting and ensuring pregnancy health. The vast majority of the service they give is supporting pregnancies, not stopping them.
Trusted place where people receive that kind of health care because they walk into those places that are generally staffed by people who create a safe place for people to come in without judgment. So anyone seeking any kind of reproductive health care and wanting to go to a place where they feel safe and without judgment, these clinics have often been the place that people can go. And many of them are having to close because of these laws.
I was raised Catholic, and abortion is a sin. And when I put out that episode, I had a lot of women reach out to me saying like, wow, I live in the South, and
you can blame the Pope for that because he patched out purgatory and now all the babies go to hell or something when they die. So that's why they consider abortion a sin now. But back when purgatory existed in Catholicism, I'm pretty sure it would have been considered fine, right? Or maybe babies just get, like, their souls get annihilated or something. I don't know what happened. What happens when babies die now, Catholics? Any Catholics in chat? I know like 1 or 2 Christians watch me despite my constant railing on Christianity, which must feel weird. But like any Catholics in chat or ex-Catholics that can tell me what happens to the babies now? Because the Pope patched out purgatory.
I never thought about it that way. Like maybe I am pro-choice because I won't get an abortion because of my religion, right. But why should we control what someone else wants to do?
And you know what's interesting, Alex, to your point, what I'm finding as I travel? People who before 2 years ago, before Roe v. Wade was overturned, people who felt very strong about that they are anti-abortion, are now seeing what's happening and saying, I didn't intend for all this to happen. And I think that's also why in state after state, so-called red states and so-called blue states, when this issue has been on the ballot, the American people are voting for freedom. Because ultimately it's about, look, this is not about imposing my thoughts on you in terms of what you do.
I will say, in the year 2024, it is really hard to win an election on being publicly anti-abortion. It's so hard, in fact, that Trump lies and says he's pro-abortion while, like, appointing Supreme Court justices that axe Roe v. Wade. Pretty much every voting American knows about what Trump's actual position is on abortion, and whether they think that's him keeping the mask on because he can't reveal how based he is, or him keeping the mask on because he doesn't want to own one of the most unpopular policy decisions he's behind, technically, that tracks back to him. I really do think people are underestimating the massive negative impact on Trump's chances that losing Roe v. Wade is going to have. Like, losing Roe v. Wade might have been a massive, massive bad thing, but it may be what wins the Dems this election. Like, I don't know if Kamala has as strong of a chance if it weren't for Roe v. Wade getting axed by Trump's Supreme Court picks. Because now Trump has a really hard time outside of his very core audience that chooses to reject reality, claiming that he is pro-abortion or would protect abortion rights.
Your life or your body. It's actually quite the opposite. It's saying the government shouldn't be telling people what to do.
Hi, Daddy Gang. Thank you so much.
Very, very top tier messaging there from Kamala Harris. I think she did great. I really am excited to see her appear on more podcasts, too. I really hope she goes on Joe Rogan. That's going to be the big one. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine Kamala Harris on Joe Rogan? Read the comments. Ooh, smart, smart. Let's see what the comments are like. Who all just came here for the comments? Selective service is required for all men to sign up for. Millions of American men have died forcibly at the hands of government. Incel comment with 10K likes. Comments did not disappoint. Why didn't you ask her if she grew up in a middle class? It is an important question everyone needs to know so that we can be unburdened by what has been and what can be. I think that's a pro-Kamala comment, but also we know she grew up middle class, so... Y'all ever heard of the draft? At least 1 million American men have died under the compulsory... Oh, okay, so these are just all comments saying, oh, women are losing abortion rights? What about the draft? Hey, when was the last draft? Brandon Schaefer? Brandon Schaefer? Spelled in, like, the dumbest way possible? When was the last draft? Were you alive during the last draft? Was your dad alive during the last draft? God, when incels try to use the fucking draft as like, well, men have it pretty hard too. It's like, yeah, you have to sign up for the fucking draft that is never going to happen and has not happened in decades and decades and decades and decades. Anyway, yeah. Not surprising that all the comments are like, but men have it hard too. What about the draft that's never happened in my lifetime and will never happen? It could, though. It could. Who cares if women are going through actual oppression? I could go through oppression. It's possible, you know? Like, that's literally their line of logic. That's about what I expected. 10K incels dropping likes and comments like that. About what you expect. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment, thought it was good, thought it was entertaining, or perhaps even educational, then please consider perhaps leaving a like, whether you're watching live this VOD after it goes out or as a video when it goes out on its own. It really does help a lot. Every thumbs up, which is totally free, by the way, to leave on the videos and stuff, pushes my content in the algorithm in real time out to more new unsubscribed people. So it actually really helps to grow the channel, and it does so like instantly. So I really appreciate every single like. It really, really means a lot. Seriously, thank you to all the people who hit that like button. Same goes to everybody who comments as well, as it does compound the support from the likes, as it multiplies it. It's really nice. And of course, if you want to see more from me, consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon to turn on all notifications so that you know when I go live or upload a new video. And of course, consider following my social medias, linked down below in the description if you want to see more stuff from me. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, and you can afford it, then you can always donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buying merch to the Streamlabs link down below. Though, regardless, I want to say thank you for your support, even if you're a lurker. It really does mean a whole freaking lot. And oh, don't forget though, make sure to join my fan Discord too, link down below in the description. I host game events, call-in streams, watch parties, and announce all my new uploads and streams there. In fact, I'm doing a watch party there tomorrow night, so I hope to see a lot of you guys there. With that said, thank you for watching, and have a good one. How do you guys like that segment? I feel like it came out pretty good. Here's the villages thing. Damn. Now, granted, this is not a statistical thing. It's just sort of a single event, but that's pretty surprising. The village's seniors hosted a golf cart rally for Kamala Harris. Mind you, this is in Trump country, dude. Trump country. You don't even know, man. You don't even know. I'll go ahead and write this down. This could be a good topic for tomorrow. There we go. By the way, Zan, early vote returns in Sumter, Colorado. Nice. Like mythic rare levels of uncommon for the villages. Uncommon W. Prob because the Republicans don't give a shit about Florida during the hurricanes? Nah, trust me. A lot of Floridians are not... the hurricanes are not shaking their conviction that climate change isn't real. I promise you. I promise you. Florida conservatives are not realizing climate change is real because of this. They're just saying, oh, this goddamn tropical weather. Well, time to rebuild and dedicate thousands and thousands of dollars to remodeling and rebuilding on exactly the same spot, because this can't ever happen again, surely. We're past the worst of it. Them climate alarmists aren't scaring me off my land. Trust me, guys. Trust me. These people are not moving. If they survived the hurricane and if their house survived even a little bit, they're rebuilding on the exact same spot and not moving an inch. They think they're past the worst of it. Those are the words they say. The worst of it is behind us. Mead to Mix, thank you for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate it. Very kind of you. Thank you, thank you. Said, got a SpongeBob clip song in the memes tag in Discord. Man, you guys got to start sending me these meme videos in the donations because it's getting a little extreme having to scan around for them and find them. You're going to have to post it, Mead to Mix, in the chat. I'm not digging through Discord right now. It'll take too much from the stream. But Bango the Buck, thank you for the $5. The tier 1 sub, thank you. Just wanted to thank you for keeping me on the path of MILFs and based throughout the chaotic election. On the path of MILFs? What does that even mean?
I wonder if there's...
And then you sent this meme as well. Absolutely breathtaking is the name of it. It's 8 seconds long. What is this?
I wonder if there's a McDonald's around here.
Christ the Redeemer. Absolutely breathtaking.
There he is! Fucking walk to the left side of the cheese! I wonder if there's a
What even is that? Okay, thank you for that, Bango the Buck. I appreciate it. Thank you for the brain rot. And then Perry Icefire, thank you for the $5 donation. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Says, thank you so much for covering abortion with Kamala Harris. This gave me more information to add to my research paper. Sorry that I haven't sent it yet. At times I'm not confident about it. It's all good, Perry Icefire. I hope it comes out well. I'm glad I was able to help, by the way. I'm glad you like the segment. Thank you so much for the $5 dues, by the way. Let me update the dono goal really fast to reflect you guys' generosity. Cheese, Grummet. All right. Yeah, Florida will literally be underwater before Republicans take climate change seriously, unironically. Straight up. Straight the fuck up. Okay. Man, my jaw is popping like firecrackers today. It feels great. Sorry about the silence, by the way, guys. I'm locked in on getting all the stuff brought up for this segment that we're about to do. All right. Whew. Okay. Oh, yay. Nice. I accidentally moved the tab in a way that popped it out into a new window, and I have to put it back in. Oh, being a streamer is so hard. Okay. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Alright, guys, so this is a drama that I'm actually surprisingly late to, considering I was one of the first streamers that was live when this, like, happened. And I thought about covering it, but there hadn't really been many developments, so it would have just been like, wow, look how cringe and awful this clip was. And I would have very quickly just become part of the crowd attacking Asmongold for this, like, clip that we're about to be watching in a moment, don't worry. But since I held off for a bit, and I waited till my next stream, there's now been far more developments, and it's more of a complete story now. So there's actually a full arc, a full, like, complete story arc that we can cover for the entirety of this segment. So once again, me holding off on covering this has proven correct once again. The best choice. Anyway, if you guys are wondering, what are we talking about today? We're talking about one of the largest and most influential Twitch streamers, period, named Asmongold. And you probably have heard a lot about Asmongold. His reputation precedes him for sure. Many of you probably know him as the Wall Blood guy. I don't need to elaborate. If you know, you know. Or the Rat Alarm Clock guy. Or just Asmongold. Many of you know him as that. Now, I actually used to be a pretty big Asmongold fan. He used to be a very fun content creator who really did not give a fuck what people thought of him, despite there being a lot of thoughts about him that are pretty negative. And he was just kind of fun-loving and goofy and silly and almost like an over-the-top cartoon character that was really fun to watch as he played World of Warcraft, especially when Classic WoW first launched, dude. I was locked in on his Classic WoW launch streams. I was locked in. I love those. I still go back and rewatch those streams when I sit down and I grind WoW, because there's just something such a vibe about it, you know? But over the last few years, Asmongold has... man, it started since before this, but I would honestly nail down the point at which I stopped being able to watch Asmongold because his takes got to be so cringe. Around the time of the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, it became very clear that he was just placating the popular sentiment with his coverage of it, and it got to be impossible to watch. And after that point, he had gained such a massive audience off of that coverage, mostly leaning conservative and anti-feminist and like anti-Me Too, that naturally he got audience captured. And man, it's been rough watching him the last few years. But apparently he acknowledges this more recently. But before we get to that point, let's go over the clip, the culmination of Asmongold's recent years of getting worse and worse with his takes in politics, getting nastier, not literally nastier like in his living quality, but nastier as a person over time, what it led to. So someone in chat must have brought up the genocide that the IDF is doing on the Palestinian people in Gaza, and Asmongold responded with this. Now, I'm just going to outright say it before we even watch the clip. These are Nazi talking points. Like, they just are. These are the talking points that the Nazis used to dehumanize the groups that they othered and encouraged violence towards. And man, it's rough to see when you know where he was like just a few years ago. He was a much happier, less hateful guy. So here's the clip.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people.
Okay, so to start with, Sharia law is obviously bad. We would not want Sharia law in America. Sharia law, very cringe, very bad. It is reactionary and extremely conservative. As progressives, we can all agree on that. Sharia law is bad. Now, I'm not even sure Hamas practices Sharia law. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I'm not 100% sure they do. But for the sake of argument, for the sake of engaging with Asmongold's argument here, let's say they do. Hamas gained power through, like, a controversially secure election decades ago. I think it's now over half of the population of Gaza is under the age of 18. The majority of people at risk of their lives being taken by the IDF had nothing to do with Hamas's rise to power in the Gaza Strip. They had nothing to do with it. They weren't alive when it happened. The victims of this genocide, even if they live under tyrants who believe in a hyper-reactionary, evil religious law, those are kids that have to live under it. They are considered property under Sharia law. Like, Asmongold knows that, right? That Sharia law considers children, even young boys, property of their parents, and they are themselves objectified and they lose rights compared to children in America because of Sharia law. Like, does he not know that the victims themselves, the women, that are the women in favor of Sharia law now? The women are the ones who are arguably the biggest victims of the tyranny of Sharia law. Do they deserve to get bombed by Israel? The logic doesn't even follow. He immediately jumped to the most hot and spicy I don't care take, because let me tell you what actually happened here. I know Asmongold better than most viewers here. Asmongold has been down the I just don't care route for a while now, where whenever there is a conversation about racism or a big thing happening in the world of politics or the world, his response is to say he doesn't care, nobody cares, people just want to focus on escapism and having fun and not thinking about what's happening in the world. And the I don't care arguments and takes have gone from just sort of hand-waving all the way up to the point of where we are now, where he is getting aggressive with it, where he's saying he doesn't care, but he is indicating with his arguments for why he doesn't care that he actually cares a lot. And what he doesn't care about is the harm being done to these people. The situation at large, he does seem to actually care about. He has a pretty strong opinion on it and seems to be in favor of what's happening there and is just framing it as not caring. And what this seems like to me, at least, is an escalation of the I don't care mindset, that trying to come off as irreverent and like disconnected from all of this, getting to the point where actually you end up caring a whole fucking lot to be this opposed to justice in a certain situation, right? This is why conservatives and even the far, far, far right love people like Asmongold who hate politics, right? The far right conservative types brand politics as a lifestyle, and they integrate it with entertainment and propaganda about popular media. They make their politics look like not politics. They make it look like anti-politics even. And so to people who are grossed out by politics, the right actually appeals to them, and they end up being suckered into becoming political pundits in an attempt to try to escape and fight against the supposed creeping ideology of constantly being obsessed with politics all the time. And next thing you know, Asmongold goes from being just like a wholesome-ish gaming creator to having takes like this, you know?
It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. They'd be doing the same thing. And how much did they kill? As many as they can. They're not able to kill as many people as Israel because they don't have as many bombs and as many weapons. But if they did, they'd be doing the same thing. That's it. Just takes enough. That's right. These people are not your allies.
Once again, guys, you'll notice how often Asmongold reads a take from his chat. Like he scans his chat and reads a take and then repeats it from a chatter and then says, yeah, that's right, and then just repeats the take over and over again. Asmongold isn't a very original guy. His takes are not very organic. They usually come from a content creator that he's viewing on his stream, or he looks at the popular sentiment on a topic in his chat, and he goes with that popular sentiment. From time to time, he can be contrarian and go against them and argue with them, but man, it's gotten rarer and rarer and rarer as his content has gone from gaming-focused to politics-focused.
Allies, they are not the same as us. They come from...
Lefties saying we have to support and praise Islamists for murdering gays and more because they are poor, deranged. Smalin, I don't think I said that. In fact, I think I indicated the exact opposite. So you're going to go ahead and catch a ban because your listening comprehension is either, man, I don't want to be called ableist, but you can guess what I want to say. But like, you're very clearly either a troll or your listening comprehension is stunted. His clip channel literally has pro-Trump audio memes in them very often. He hasn't really been hiding that, what side he's been on. You know, this is a tendency I've noticed among my own viewers a lot, is the assumption that a content creator edits and uploads and makes the thumbnails for all their own videos. Like, you guys realize content creators have editors, right? You realize I have an editor that makes the thumbnails and uploads the video clips on my channel. I get so many comments complaining about like a typo in a title or something, and it's like, why are you directing this at me? I have an editor. That was my editor's mistake, you know, not me. So yeah, like, doesn't matter if he edits them, he knows what's in them, lol, come on. Not really, Rob J. Do you really think that's the case? Do you actually believe that this streamer watches every single like bit of work that his editor puts out? Because I assure you that is not common among content creators. There's very much just like a trust the editor gets the job done, especially among streamers who need clips uploaded. So what that indicates to me, though, is that his editor is probably far right, or conservative at the very least. That indicates to me that Asmongold has, at least on the business side of things, for his own channel, allied with and shacked up with conservatives. And that they're, like, he isn't paying much attention, nor does he care, but he has, like, a clearly right-wing editor who's editing the videos. Come on, I know you know better. Rob J., I'm a content creator. I am telling you what the landscape of content creation is. Stop doing this whole, like, you know better, Zan. You don't know better. Rob J., you literally don't know better. I am a content creator. I can guarantee you the vast majority of large content creators have editors that do the job that they have been paid, and there's communication, but not a shitload, generally speaking, and the editor could add, like, a visual gag of someone, like, choking on a cactus or something, I don't know, into the video, and half the time the content creator wouldn't know. Jesus Christ, YouTube chat. You guys need to calm the fuck down. You guys... fucking smartasses, dude. This is why... Dude, one of these days, I'm gonna just stop reading YouTube comments as well, because my YouTube comments are so full of pedantic smartasses.
From an inferior culture that is horrible, it kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
this take is both a Nazi take and also it feels like ripped directly from Sam Harris via like circa 2016 when the famous like atheist speakers like pivoted from being like progressive anti-Christian figures and started like primarily focusing their criticisms on Islam, which sure, Islam's got plenty to criticize about it, like a lot, but it ended up feeding deeply into the populist sentiment of Islamophobia that blew up, and it played very heavily into Trump's rise to power, because you got to remember in 2015 and 16, when like around the first time he got elected, he was running on banning Muslim immigrants. Like that was the popular, like that was the group to be racist against of the month back then. So yeah, it reminds me a lot of those talking points from back in the day.
It is that simple. No, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't care. I don't.
Dude, the people that everyone is sympathizing with aren't the like military-aged men that are primarily the ones fighting as like soldiers in Hamas. They're talking about the children and the women who, by the definition of Sharia law, are the ones that are being like oppressed by the tyrants that are invoking Sharia law on the population. This even the retard who came in the chat earlier to be like, so it's okay for them to do these things because they're poor. It's like, I never said that. I just said Sharia law is tyrannical, and the women and children are the ones who are victims of it and of Israel's bombings. They're not in favor of Sharia law, probably not, at least in general. Like, oh my god. By Sharia law, isn't that like property destruction? Like a child dying? Maybe. I don't know. Regardless, though, the logic on where he is just doesn't work, dude. It really just doesn't. Like, even in his mind, he's just trying to flex how much he doesn't care. So, after this, he gets massively flamed, as you can imagine. Just massively. Twitter goes down his throat, like more than any controversy he's had in the past. Other content creators are calling him out. Destiny defended him, of course. But he actually ended up getting challenged to a conversation by Hassan. And as much as I hate Hassan, and Hassan said some pretty cringe things in that debate, apparently at one point Hassan argued in defense of the forced transitioning of gay people in some Muslim-majority countries because they're currently dealing with U.S. colonialism, and that's a bigger problem than the bigotry. And so, like, yeah, Hassan's apparently defensive of that, which does not surprise me in the slightest. But in general, Hassan's arguments seem to have been pretty good and pretty impactful, and maybe even got through to him more than anybody else has, because Asmongold followed this up by releasing a video yesterday called My Plans Moving Forward. Now, I've seen some clips of this, and I've watched a lot of apologies from YouTubers in my day, okay? And I've seen a lot of disingenuous apologies, and I've seen a lot of legit apologies. This unironically strikes me as one of the most sincere apologies I've seen from a content creator. I'm curious to see if you guys agree, but it really does feel like he's reflected and recognizes not just that this was wrong, but that this was part of a downfall that he has had for a while now. And let's go ahead and watch. Oh, here we go. He's taking a break for a while. Well, Jalen Alexander, let's not jump to immediate, harsh conclusions before watching a second of the apology. That's not really a healthy mindset, I don't think. Let's get into it. My plans moving forward.
Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you all about what my reason was for getting suspended on Twitch, and also what my plans are going forward.
Oh yeah, he got suspended on Twitch.
Two parts, where the first part is going to be me talking about the Twitch suspension, second part is going to be talking about myself.
Now,
and the first thing...
To be fair, Twitch, knowing that Asmongold is one of their biggest earners, only banned his alt account. Asmongold streams on two accounts, Asmongold and Zakrar. And the reason he has Zakrar is because, I shit you not, Asmongold says he gets too many viewers on the Asmongold account. Usually averages around like 60,000 viewers when he streams on that one. And it's overwhelming for him, and it's stressful, and it's hard to read the chat. So he streams on Zakrar to have less viewers and just like the most dedicated fans there, so he can have more chill, low energy streams with less people there. He actively chooses to stream primarily on his second account that has less subs, followers, and support, just so he can feel chill. That's why I've never thought of him as a grifter. That's why I never thought this like political heel turn he's had over the last couple years was due to grifting or seeking money. Because man, this guy does not spend the millions he has at all. Like at all. He does not seem to want money or want a wealthy lifestyle. In fact, he actively eats like pan-cooked skirt steaks that are like $2 each at the grocery store because he never wants to develop a taste for expensive, high-quality food because he grew up poor and he's got a poor palate and he wants to have a poor palate forever because he sees frugalness. Like he grew up with frugality, like saving money and never buying expensive things is like a virtuous act. That's very common when you grow up as broke as he did. And so he oftentimes he doesn't spend his money. And he's never been known to do this. It's very public, like his living conditions, that he drives like a shitty old used car that he's had since before he got big as a streamer. He just doesn't spend money. He doesn't even gamble. I don't think he does gambling streams. So it's why I never bought the idea that he was heel turning for money. And as he's going to explain here, because I've seen some clips of this apology, this was a genuine change in his emotional state. And as much as this is a very private thing for him, and I hate to delve into it, it does correlate very strongly with the time where his mom died, around the time when his mom died. Let's go ahead and let it continue. But like the alt-right playbook videos have actually done a really good job of pointing out, one of the most vulnerable times for someone to be radicalized to the far right is after the death of a loved one or a horrible disaster in their life. For me, it was shortly after I had been made homeless by a hurricane that I fell down the alt-right rabbit hole. For Asmongold, it seems it was after the death of a family member. But, like, mourning is a very easy path to being indoctrinated. I don't know why, but it seems just let people's guards down.
The thing I want to start off with is something that I know it might sound a little bit insincere because of how ridiculous this is, but I really mean it, and if you listen to the whole video, I hope you can see why. Everybody who's come and spoken out and talked to me and said stuff about me, aside from the, oh, you should kill yourself or something like that, I want to say that I really appreciate you. And I think this has been something that's a long time coming. And I actually think that this is something that not only I deserved, but it's also something that I needed. And I want to talk about what the reason for that is, but I want to start off and just make sure that that's actually very clear. So a couple of days ago, I made some comments about Palestine and also about Hamas and, some just general, basically opinions that were trivializing the genocide that's happening there. And I don't really want to mince words or try to I wasn't justifying or, promoting it. I said something about it that was disgusting. I said that I didn't care about innocent people getting killed by another force, by anything. And I think that that's a horrible, disgusting, mean-spirited thing to say. And I don't necessarily think that it was really racist, really, but when I'm using language like Palestinians or the people there, rather than what my real language was, I've always been very outspoken and very against religious extremism, and I still am.
Yeah, I don't think Asmongold's racist. He was definitely doing the Sam Harris bit of being oh yeah, no, a lot of Islamic countries and cultures practice Sharia law and have extremely hyper-conservative beliefs about women and gay people and stuff. Asmongold has gotten pretty conservative leaning, but he his justification for that take was that Hamas is anti-gay and they're misogynistic and they take away women's rights, right? There is a underlying, what he thought was a progressive argument there, to a degree. A lot of people who fall into this conservative shit think that they're actually out progressiving the woke SJW Twitter crazies, as they would say, the Twitter freaks, as they oftentimes call them. They like to think that back in the day, they called it the regressive left. In 2016, Dave Rubin coined the term the regressive left. So a lot of the conservative pundits actually got progressive people into the rabbit hole by using this false idea that the left was getting so radically pro-minority that things had flipped into a area of bigotry of low expectations or even outright hate towards white straight men. and that it was regressive, that the left had become regressive. Yeah, Sargon really loved using the phrase. This was, he basically, Asmongold is a really good example of how the damage done by Gamergate nearly a decade ago, still affects people. The types of political talking points and ideas that Asmongold had fallen into were like 2016 era Gamergate ideas, not necessarily modern ones. And it goes to show that that damage from a decade ago in the political space still has an impact. Those opinions and those takes and those talking points are still out there. They still have they've left a scar on our culture.
Think that any religion and any way of thinking that's going to cause you to put other people in like kind of positions below you as like, you know, like gay people, women, people with disabilities, anything like that, I think that that's a really bad position to have, and I really don't like that. And I think that my problem and my fault here was that I was making a criticism of religious extremism, and I made no effort. And I feel like almost, I've rewatched the clip, right, or a number of the clips, and it's like I've almost made an effort not to draw a distinction between the two things. I think that a lot of us here can easily say that we're against religious extremism, and I am. But whenever I categorize everybody in the area as this, like, group, then I'm the asshole. And I was the asshole. I had a lot of you guys tell me that. And it's taken me, this is what's so crazy about it, is that I think this has been going on now for like 2 years. I think that I've been slowly devolving into the most mean-spirited, I don't really even know what the word is for it. Just like the most mean-spirited, rude, like nasty, like just callous, psychopathic version of myself. I think
I oftentimes find that people's political beliefs can reflect their internal mindset more than you might expect. The more passionate someone's political beliefs are, it tends to imply that, like, they're in a mental place that is conducive with compassion, right? But with conservatism, there's so much hate in it, right? Like, even when you don't realize, because he didn't realize how hateful he was being. That's what's so sneaky and effective about this, like, rabbit hole, this path that Asmongold had gone down, is that you don't realize you're getting locked in on politics. You don't realize the path you're on is a political path, because the whole while you think you're arguing against the idea of politicizing things, when in reality, this politicizing things that you're fighting against is just left politics. And they brand right politics as apolitical, as the default, right? And it's easy to do that with a gamer. With a gamer who's, Asmongold's not old, but he's in his 30s, so he's an older guy. Fakest apology, he gave a nah, dog. Oh my god, dude. Really? Really? Why do I even read YouTube chat? Nah, we're closing YouTube chat. YouTube chat opinion literally does not ever matter. Sorry if you don't super chat on YouTube, because I'm not going to see your super chats there. Actually, no, I can check it on the other feed. There we go. Closing YouTube chat. I've genuinely gotten fed up with how ridiculous YouTube chat has been today. It's too much. Every time the channel gets a massive bump in subs, we always have to deal with, like, downright cancer in my YouTube chat.
I think that I've been devolving into this. And a lot of my friends have told me this. My dad has told me this. He said, you've got to chill out. You've got to calm down. I've been like, oh, that old man doesn't know what he's talking about. And I've finally had some level of accountability for that.
Oh, yeah, Asmongold's dad is fucking based, by the way. And if you're wondering, oh my god, hold on, there's a clip I have to show you. If you hate Asmongold, this clip might change everything. So if you don't know, oh my god, can I find it? Let me see if I can find it. This clip is amazing. If I can find it. Is this it?
Okay, my dad. It's gonna do it. I'm gonna call my dad.
I think this might be it.
Help over there running getting some viewers for your stream. You sucking wind today or what?
Wait, your mom's a psychologist and you still are how you are? Listen, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say, dude? You trying to say that I'm crazy, dude? Like, what do you mean? On the old computer and me out. So you want to set the record straight?
Yeah.
Okay, well, real quick, don't say any personal information, okay?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so what? Fuck. So if you're just gonna hey, fuck you.
And
God, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Okay, let me try to explain to you what I'm trying to find. If anyone knows how to find it, you need to drop the link immediately, and I will literally fall to my knees, okay? I will fall to my knees and I will pray for you, okay? I'll pray at your feet. There is a clip where Asmongold calls his dad. Now, Asmongold's mom was a big Alex Jones fan, and Asmongold's dad is a pretty progressive, like, just kind of like down-to-earth, chill guy. He's not necessarily, I don't even know if he votes Democrat, but he's really not conservative. You could tell from the story Asmongold was telling there in his apology that even his dad has been like, yo, what's going on with you? Because his dad's not a very conservative guy. So there is a clip where Asmongold's dad tells a story over the phone about Asmongold, like, getting upset at his mom for watching Alex Jones when he was a kid, like a little kid. Because Alex Jones has been around for a long time. And his mom was watching Alex Jones, and Asmongold's dad does an impression of baby Asmongold saying something along the lines of, the bad man is on the TV. Please turn off the bad man. I hate him. Like, apparently baby Asmongold, like, around when he could first form words, fucking hated Alex Jones and would just get viscerally upset whenever his mom was listening to or watching Alex Jones and would beg for it to be turned off. And there is a video clip of Asmongold calling his dad and Asmongold's dad doing an impression of how Asmongold would react when his mom watched Alex Jones. I wish I could find the clip for you guys. I really did try. It is genuine comedy gold. If anybody could find it for me, I would appreciate it so much, but...
And thank God. I look back at some of the things that I've said and done over the past 2 years, and I don't think that I've been wrong about everything, obviously, right? But there have been ways that I've communicated and ways that I've acted that are indefensible. And I think looking back on it, it's just disgusting. And it's something that when you get lost in the sauce and you get fixated around like listening and reading feedback and, just getting hyper fixated, this is like your entire life, you lose a perspective on reality and you lose a perspective on the world. And I think that perspective was brought into perspective yesterday and the day before when I was making comments like this. And I feel so stupid. It's crazy. So I'm getting all these people making negative comments toward me. Everybody is telling me like, oh, go kill yourself. I hate you. Everything like this. Do you know who reached out to me? And they wanted to talk and have a conversation and see if I was okay. It's people that were Islamic and people that had fucking family in Palestine. And how humiliating is that? How absolutely humiliating is that? And these were the people I was trying to say were bad. And I feel like such a fucking stupid asshole. I really do. I've always been I guess like I've always been kind of like an atheist. And even as a young kid, I was raised Roman Catholic and I was always very defiant towards it. And I've always had a negative opinion of religion, and I've also had a negative opinion of religious cultures. And I think that
his eyes are tweaking, he's on meth. I have this sped up like 1.5x speed, by the way, Redo. That's why his eye movements look so fast. He does generally, like, he is a pretty like twitchy guy. I don't think he's on meth though, but I have this sped up quite a bit. That's why it looks like that. But yeah, no, he's, I think he's being pretty genuine. As someone who's watched Asmongold for a very long time, hasn't watched him in a couple years because of where he's been, genuinely the fact that he is acknowledging the last couple years he has been on like a downward spiral of hate and bitterness, like that's not a hollow apology, because that's not what this is. This isn't just an apology. He is fully acknowledging the problem. Apologies are weird online, especially when you're a content creator, because half the time when people ask for an apology, maybe more, they don't really want an apology. They want you to apologize because when you apologize, it's an admission of wrongdoing. They want to be able to fully, with no denial or, deniability, to be able to apply an allegation, right? That's like half the people asking for an apology for something what they want, right? Because if the apology happened, it wouldn't matter how genuine it was, they'd still not take it. I mean, you've seen my own YouTube chat in reference to Asmongold, right? So most people demanding an apology never wanted one. They just wanted the apology in the sense that it was admission of wrongdoing and that there wouldn't be denial of it anymore. And they could just say, oh yeah, Asmongold admittedly did the Nazi thing, right? They want to be able to say that as like a reason to hate him, right? There's a lot of people that is the issue. And one of the biggest drawbacks, the things that like as a content creator, your ego will fight you when it comes to apologizing, even for the smallest thing, even if it's just a basic fuck up, just, oh, my bad. Like, your ego will fight against it because you know at least half the people demanding the apology just want to see you admit wrongdoing, because they recognize that as weakness. And the fact that Asmongold is not only taking the accountability, but also in depth addressing the problem that he's denied for so long is a big deal. It's cathartic as fuck for me as like someone who considered himself an ex-Asmongold fan. So for people who just know of Asmongold, this apology is just going to be an affirmation that even Asmongold doesn't deny that Asmongold's a piece of shit, which is what they always believed. And for ex-Asmongold fans who have noticed this really problematic heel turn in his politics, I think they're going to recognize the very clear sincerity here, because this is very clear sincerity, and they're going to appreciate it. It feels cathartic for me.
I think that opinion is definitely shaped by the media that I've created, and the media I've created for myself, and then also just the media that exists, the media that I've chose to seek out as well. And I think that media has allowed me to have certain predispositions and certain biases that the truth is that don't have any sort of relation to what my own real life has been experienced, or my own real life experience has been, excuse me. And so I've been spending a lot of time talking to those people, and I've seen people like fans of mine, like I had viewers messaging me on Discord, like, you know, why are you saying this? Like, do you want to talk? Do you want to, like, you know, I'm willing to talk to you, and like, you know, like, let's try to work this out, right? We love you. And I scrolled up on their messages, and these are people that messaged me in like 2016, 2017, 2018, like, I love your content, I love your stream, I love you, right? And now they get to hear this from me, and I just feel like such a stupid, belligerent fucking asshole. I really do, and I'm sorry. I really am.
I lived with a meth head, I can see the signs in general. I get that redo. Like I said, 1.5x speed video. And also, I would generally agree with you. Like, if I saw someone like Asmongold in public and I didn't know anything about them, I'd probably assume the worst like you. But, I mean, Asmongold has shown videos and photos of him when he was just a little lad. And you can see, like, pictures of him outside, like, in his backyard when he's, like, 13. And he's also a string bean, and also just, like, a lot like how he is here. He just looks like a grown-up version of how he was when he was little. He's got a lot of videos and photos of himself when he was a kid, because he played WoW with his friends and, like, documented it all. And so whenever whenever WoW Classic came out, he just went through with the entire, like, digital photo gallery of his childhood. Same goes for when TBC Classic came out and when Wrath of the Lich King Classic came out. So I've seen a pretty strong amount of content of him when he was younger, and he just looks like a grown-up version of his younger self. He doesn't look like he's a version of his younger self who got on meth and aged 20 years, right? Like, it would be pretty overt.
I think that it's extremely fair to criticize religious extremism, and I think that it's extremely unfair to categorize everybody in part of that group as religious extremists. I think it is, and I'm really sorry for that. I've just been a fucking dick. And it's weird because yesterday I woke up and I didn't know if I was going to get suspended or not, and I planned on streaming and everything, and I actually got a text message from one of my mods. They said, oh, I heard about the suspension, I'm sorry. And I was like, I remember I was like,
I didn't hear about it.
Like, you know, you'd think that, like, your heart rate would go up, but if anything, I felt more relaxed. I felt like finally I have a moment to just take a step back and breathe and think for myself and just stop, just like get out of my own head. And I spent a long time, like, just writing basically a list.
I think a lot of it is the fact that when you spend as much time as Asmongold did on stream, and so much of being a streamer of that size relies on placating an audience and going with the flow and not upsetting them too much, otherwise you start losing support. I feel like when so much of your life is that, like, placating an audience, it's impossible not to let it become your real self. And that's what happened to Asmongold. He spent so much time placating a majority conservative audience, particularly after the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp stuff that he did, covering that I would not be surprised if he hasn't thought for himself in years. Legitimately.
of all of these things that like I think that I should be doing with my life. And this is going to be kind of the second part, by the way, of the video. Comments that I made were pretty much about religious extremism. I think it's
They're pretty fucked up, Cammy
but
Whammy,
I've
but yeah,
categorized
not
a lot of people in
meth
that way.
bad.
It was unfair. It's wrong for me to have done that. I said something that was bad. I should not have said that. I should have chosen my words more carefully. I didn't do that. I doubled down on it. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. That's pretty much. I was a fucking asshole. I was a piece of shit. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. And so, actually, I do know what else to say. I don't like making apologies because I think words don't matter. But I do think changed actions and changed behaviors do. And so you can take my apology as hopefully better content. And if you're not seeing that, I want you to hold me accountable. Hopefully.
I mean, I'll definitely give a look at are we getting YouTube chatters in website chat now? Asmongold's teeth are fake. Dental implants. No, they're not. His teeth are evident. Do you know what dental implants look like? They're perfect. Dental implants are a perfect set of teeth. His teeth are far from perfect. Guys, so this is kind of what I mean when I talk about people who've decided they've hated a content creator already a long time ago, and when they want to see an apology, they don't actually want that person to apologize and be better. They're just demanding an admission of guilt and a public show of weakness. And that's why so many content creators, even when genuinely sorry, are so afraid to apologize, because there's inevitably just going to be, you're going to be pleasing those people. And then on top of that, like, a lot of people aren't even going to see it as genuine. And when you are genuinely sorry for something and people don't see your apology as genuine, that definitely hurts. So yeah. Literally, in real time, you can see, like, kind of the practice that's going to happen to Asmongold. Like, some people are going to take this apology, and some who never were are going to are gonna just say it's an admission of guilt and nothing more.
Hopefully this time I won't be stupid enough to ignore it. Mouth is pretty dry. Anyway, so the second part about this is that I want to talk a little bit about like my life, my personal life, etc., and kind of some of the points that I think that I've kind of gone through to get here. So the main thing is that for the past, like, I would say like 10 years or so, if you look at my life like this, I would have said 10 years ago or maybe 8 years ago, streaming was like this, right? YouTube was like this. And now I would say that my life and streaming are basically the exact same size. And what I mean by that is that streaming is my entire life. Doing this is my entire existence. And I think that
the problem is that he is over 35 and still acts like a child. It's really hard to change even if he actually tried. It's not really that hard. I don't think it's harder to change as a person when you get older. What do you mean? He literally changed over the last 2 years to become worse. That was the problem. People can absolutely change in the opposite direction, in a positive one, even faster than they got worse. What do you mean? People can change at any time in their life to become worse. Why do you think it's harder or impossible for them to change to become better? Especially when they recognize that it's a problem, then yeah. Streaming being 100% of your life is not healthy. It's definitely almost 100% of my life, and it has to be because I'm full-time streamer. If you're a full-time streamer, streaming is your life. If you stop letting streaming be your life for even like a week, say goodbye to any chance of your streaming career ever growing again. Like, legitimately, once you hit that like big stride where you're getting like a lot of growth, you can't stop. Or you might never get that back. Like, when you're getting thousands of subs a day, like Asmongold does in many cases, you can't slow down on that. YouTube has to be your life. Streaming has to be your life. Dude, since you asked, I was looking for the Asmongold clip and still couldn't find it, Zan. Damn, it's so fucking funny. It's probably just somewhere buried in one of the appearances of Asmongold's dad on the stream. It was either when he was physically there or over the phone. I remember it being over the phone, but he may have physically been there. But it would definitely be a clip that exists online. Like, you would be able to look up Asmongold dad on stream and find it somewhere in there. But I understand if you couldn't find it. Thank you for looking, though.
The process of that has been extremely unhealthy for me. And I think that what it's done is that it's allowed me to become such a one-dimensional person.
Oh, you found the clip with his dad? Wait, really? You found it? No shot. No shot did you find it.
Yeah, I don't know what you ever told him on there, but when you were 2 or 3 years old, you couldn't have even known what Alex was talking about.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
You would walk in the room, and just like a little kid, you put both hands on top of your head, and you'd say, "Oh, no! No! No, not the man show! Oh, turn it off! Turn it off! Turn it off!" You'd be such an asshole that your mom couldn't watch it. And I was really proud of you that you could spot that bullshitter a mile away.
I love Asmongold's dad, dude. You need to understand, guys. Asmongold's dad is a fucking treasure.
Yep.
My favorite Asmongold quote, or Asmongold's dad quote, is from a story of his childhood. Asmongold said to his dad once, "I'm thinking about, I think I should go to college for criminal psychology." And his dad asked him, "What would that be for? Like, what job would you get with that degree?" And he said, "I don't know, probably a police officer." And his dad sat him down and said, No. We're the other guys." And that was it. No more context than that. Just, we're the other guys. Dude, Asmongold's dad is a fucking treasure, dude.
That I'm not even a person anymore. It's like I'm Dark Souls. I'm going hollow or something. And
I
think
bow
about,
to
like,
you,
all
by the way.
You know, like I made a list
I
of
bow
all
to
the
you,
things that I'm
Wavern.
not doing in my life that I should
Thank
be doing.
you.
And I was writing it down, and I'm like, you know, fucking like I'm just going and going. I'm like, oh my god, I think it'd be shorter if I transcribed the Bible. Like, this is insane. Like, I'm like, whenever I have everything written down line for line, it's like, oh my god, I'm ruining my life. I've been existing, and I want to, at a certain point, actually try to live my life. And I don't think that I've been doing that. And so what am I going to do? How am I going to do that differently? And what does that mean for my stream, etc.? I think that I'm going to cut down a little bit on streaming quite as much. And I think I'm also going to cut down... This is going to sound
That's probably
like...
smart.
I hope...
From a content creator's perspective, this completely like sounds genuine and makes sense to me, but I wonder from a viewer perspective, especially one that's already going in like with a negative opinion of Asmongold, if this looks like it's irrelevant. I've oftentimes had that accusation made at me when I talk about like certain topics too. Like I'll talk about something, I'll be like, "How's that relevant?" And it's like, well, it's actually very relevant if you know the realm of content creation. But yeah, legitimately, like the amount that he's streaming has probably not been healthy for him. The amount of time he's spent with his audience effectively deciding his opinions for him has definitely not been healthy. And you can say, well, he's a grown man. He's an adult. He should be able to... No one is immune. None of you could be immune to the amount of social pressure that tens of thousands of people pushing you and validating certain takes and pushing you away from other takes will have on you. It's a level of psychological effect. You cannot imagine what it feels like till you've had it, right? Yeah, like to a degree, Hassan feels it every day. Hassan was not as crazy and radical as he is now. He has been audience captured. Hassan is like the left-wing equivalent of Asmongold in a lot of ways. Look at Hassan 4 years ago. He was just sort of like a dude bro, like Bernie bro, socialist, like pretty chill guy overall. He had some cringe takes, but overall he wasn't like making pro-terrorism stuff. Now he's backing terrorist groups to get like the affirmation from his chat. You really cannot predict how much tens of thousands of people affirming or not affirming your takes can be on your psyche and your politics.
If I can say this in the right way, I feel like the main times that I laugh on my stream nowadays are when I'm laughing at other people. And I look back on videos that I did from 2020, 2016, and 17, and yeah, I've always been an asshole, but holy shit, I've been way more of an asshole. It's insane. And it's a night and day difference. And I've had, again, everybody in the world telling me this, including my own dad, and I've just ignored them. And finally, it's like, you know what? Maybe I'm an asshole. Maybe this is too far. Maybe I need a course correction, which is why I think that like getting suspended in this, I hope that it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And I don't know whether that's going to be true, but I'm going to try to do things differently and make sure to live up to that reality. And so what are those things that I'm going to be doing differently? The first thing is that I think I'm going to try. I've been very much trying to like maintain a consistent schedule with my stream, and I will continue to do that. I want to get up and go to bed at relatively the same time. I want to live a normal life. And also...
This sounds, once again, this is the kind of thing that viewers are like, who are antagonistic going in are going to be like, what's this matter? But as a content creator, it's like, yeah, dude, like your sleep schedule, how often you're streaming, like the amount that you're like placating an audience, like these factors are like the biggest factors that got him to where he is. And as a content creator, I know that's how that got him to where he is. You guys know that I could be like 3 times my size, if not more, if I pandered to the same audience that like Hassan does, or to the same audience that Vosh is right now. I will scream at and ban people that I could pander to from my chat because I don't want them here or part of my community. But there are people who fall to that desire to placate the large majority that could easily flock to their channel and build them up higher than they could ever imagine. A lot of people cannot resist that desire, and it's not necessarily a monetary desire. Asmongold doesn't want money. Validation is like feeling like you are valid, whether it be your gender identity or your experiences or your politics, is a powerful, positive motivator. And tens of thousands of people calling you out because they disagree is a powerful demotivator away from, in this case, progressive politics.
I want to spend maybe a little bit less time streaming, and I want to spend more time creating my own videos and doing my own things and spending time on things that I really enjoy, and basically just like expanding my existence as a person. I think that ever since I started like OTK and I got involved with that, and then we had like other Starforge and like Mad Mushroom and Mythic and everything, like honestly it's been too much for me to handle. It's been completely too much for me to handle, and I've been losing my mind dealing with it, and I try to hide it the best I can because, you know, I try to do the best, right? I try to do my best. You know, it doesn't matter how hard it gets, you just keep going, it doesn't matter. And eventually it does matter, and I think that I've negative.
Zan, he said he is responding to the DEI-related video on Reddit and hasn't really moderated his community that wants him to contribute this kind of behavior. Like, after all this? Or is that, like, before this whole thing happened? Because it seems like he's not going to be streaming right away. I am curious to see whether or not, like, his content actually changes, because this comes off as very genuine, but at the same time, I want, like, man, is he just going to stop reacting to, like, the lolicon, like, alt-righter dude, Rev says Desu? Is he going to stop, like, complaining about Assassin's Creed Shadows? Is he going to keep on the, like, anti-woke shit? Like, it seems like he's recognizing it's part of a problem, and he's recognized the last 2 years he's been on, like, a downward spiral. I just hope he recognizes how much of it has been part of that path and starts cutting those things out, you know? I could be wrong, but it feels like it can, not always, but sometimes just happen without noticing. It cause most creators want to get popular and don't realize the consequences until it's too late. Yeah, some guy. It's not necessarily a conscious decision as well. I mean, we've covered a few content creators that apparently have been radicalized in real time. The Smug Alana VTuber lady, she apparently a couple years ago was just normal, and nowadays is complaining about wokeness and DEI because half her videos are reacting to anti-woke videos that her audience asks her to watch, and she does, and then her politics are molded by them. I don't even think she realizes it's happening. So yeah, content creators are not machines. They are people, fallible as any other, and Asmongold is certainly a fallible person. We know a lot of that, particularly when it comes to like his living situation. So yeah, I think this was a genuine fuck up on his part. I think this is a genuine fuck up of like, it seems like a genuine apology for the fuck up, a recognition of what he did wrong, why he did wrong, how he got to the point of doing that wrong, and an acknowledgement of and a plan for how he is going to be better. Really, it's the actions that speak the loudest, as he said himself, and I've believed that myself as well. And yeah, that is also part of why, as a content creator, genuine apologies are kind of rare, because if you are genuinely sorry, then you're maybe not even going to want to apologize because it's going to feel hollow. And that you'd rather just be better and hope that people recognize that you're sorry because you are better in that way. But yeah, content creators don't want to like admit that weakness, I suppose. So yeah, Asmongold, proud of him. He did good here. He really did do good here. Like I said, by the way, if you enjoy my content, if you like this video, then please consider leaving a like. Every thumbs up goes a long way to help the channel and the algorithm, if you did not know. In fact, it happens in real time, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching a VOD after I've ended the stream, or the individual videos when they go out on their own. Every thumbs up boosts my content in the algorithm and forces YouTube to push my content to new viewers, so I really do appreciate it. Commenting also actually multiplies that effect, so if you comment and like, it's even better. And you can also subscribe and ring the bell icon on YouTube so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video too, because trust me, they won't if you don't do those things. Finally, you can follow my social medias, linked down below in the description if you want to see more from me on other platforms, including Like not awesome? Police had been called to a nearby convenience store for a complaint about a white man who was loitering. That man claimed he had been assaulted and that his cell phone had been stolen. When police arrived, he pointed to McAlpin as the culprit, but McAlpin is not facing I thought they were responding to a call about a white man loitering. Yeah, about a white man who was loitering. Okay, wait. That man claimed he had been assaulted and that his cell phone had been stolen. Okay. The cops were called there about a white guy who was loitering. They approached the white guy who was loitering, and the loitering white man said that he had been assaulted and his cell phone had been stolen. He pointed at McAlpin as the culprit, basically saying, no, don't take me away for loitering, or don't give me a citation for loitering. Go after that guy because he assaulted me and took my phone. But McAlpin is not facing charges related to that man's claims. He's only facing charge, by the way, it's because he didn't do what he was accused of by that guy, almost certainly. He was deflecting, probably, and the cops went after this guy, and because he was deaf and has cerebral palsy, he behaved in ways that seemed suspicious or unusual to the cops, and they immediately reacted with violence and fear and anger and brutality, and now they are trying to double down to cover up what they've done. That's what it seems like here, especially after seeing the video. Attorney Scholter said McAlpin hadn't done anything wrong, so all the force that they used was excessive, unnecessary, and unreasonable. Andre Miller, vice president of the Arizona State Conference, NAACP, condemned McAlpin's arrest, saying in a statement, quote, "This brutal assault was due to the false claims of a white citizen, reminiscent of many falsehoods like Emmett Till that have claimed the lives of black citizens in America. Tyron was not a suspect in an actual crime. He had not done anything wrong, and he also has communication challenges. His assault happened seconds after the police vehicle was put in park. No true communication in this encounter was present." McAlpin spent 24 days in jail before making bond. He pleaded not guilty. The officers didn't learn he was deaf until after the arrest, and as of Tuesday, remain on the job, of course. And as you know, the worst they can expect is paid time off, paid leave, paid vacation. That's how it always goes. The Arizona Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing said in a statement it was disheartened by this incident. "We provided post-training for officers to communicate with deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind Arizonans, yet these modules are not currently being used. Cultural and language knowledge and awareness is vital for the safety of all." Yeah, so Arizona is a very conservative state. And one of the biggest downsides of a conservative state is that when you have these movements that are doing all of the hard work and are just trying to convince politicians to pick up the policy that they've written, essentially, they'll refuse to do so. One of the best things, like that is direct action, is joining an org that basically writes up policy and like lobbies for politicians to push that policy. That is direct action. That's like going beyond the ballot box, right? That's what it actually looks like. But if you have Republicans in office, they will not listen to any of these organizations. They will not try to make happy these movements or these advocates or these activists, right? Instead, they'll, like Trump promised, call the military on them. Democrats will try to appease them. And that is why direct action can only really exist under a system in which we have elected better politicians, because Republicans are not going to do anything about the situation. Republicans are going to make these cops into heroes and martyrs for the sake of the culture war. Like, these cops are going to have their faces on the next, like, conservative beer logo, okay? Like, trust me. The Phoenix Police Department declined a CBS News request for an interview, but said in a statement it is investigating the officer's actions. Maricopa County Attorney General Rachel Mitchell, the county's top prosecutor, has also promised to review the case. Quote, "Because of the attention on this case, I will personally review the entire file, as well as the totality of the video. I may reach a different conclusion, or I may not, but I believe this case merits additional scrutiny," Mitchell said in a statement. Let's hope something actually comes out of the amount of attention this is getting. In a statement provided to CBS News Wednesday, Phoenix Mayor Kate Galeo said she has watched the body camera footage and shares the deep concern we've heard from some in our community, and this incident warrants a full and thorough investigation. In a statement Wednesday, Phoenix Mayor Kate Galeo said she has... Wait. Okay. It just repeated the same line twice in a row. CBS News, are you having AI write your articles? Chat, look at this. In a statement provided to CBS News Wednesday, Phoenix Mayor Kate Galeo said, blah, 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 watch body camera. And then in a statement Wednesday, body camera footage. Was this written by AI or is this human error? Because in one line, it's maybe this seems like human error because the way it says in a statement provided to CBS News Wednesday, this seems to have been the final iteration of this paragraph, and then this was the original iteration, and they added the in a statement provided to CBS News Wednesday, but then forgot to delete this line. Yeah, this seems like human error. It's always funny when you cover news articles for a living and you spot errors in big mainstream news articles. You know what I mean? Yo, how did you get your stream delay non-existent? It's about 5 seconds. I just selected the low latency option. If you don't know, by the way, by default, whenever you start a stream on YouTube, low latency stream. I know this is a bit of a stun lock, but just because it's a fun little fact that maybe someone benefits from. When you schedule a live stream through YouTube, this is a little bit of the, this UI is a bit outdated, but it still looks a lot like this. You scroll down through the options for the stream, and by default, it's on normal latency, which is about 15 seconds. That means if I say Marco, you guys don't even hear me say Marco for 15 seconds. That's about 30 seconds of delay by default. If you forget to select ultra low latency for 5 seconds, which for the record doesn't support 1440p and 4K resolutions or closed captions, unfortunately, but you get a 5-second latency back and forth. It's about 3 seconds both ways. So it's about 6 seconds. Yeah, that's how you get such a low latency is you have to deselect and there's no way to not have it automatically be set to normal latency unless you set up your streams through Discord. Or not Discord, through OBS. If you do it through OBS, you can just set a list of settings that it always has, and you just have to change the title and the start time for your stream when you schedule one. But every time you start a stream, if you're doing it through YouTube, you need to select ultra low latency to get it like mine. And if you forget, you can't change it after the fact. You have to end stream, delete it, and then start a whole new one and remember that setting. Anyway. Because of the attention on... Oh yeah, I already read that bit. Galeo said, in the city's Professional Standards Bureau and Force Evaluation Review Unit have launched investigations. Phoenix Councilman Kevin Robinson said Tuesday in a statement, while I cannot comment on the specific details of the incident at this time, I look forward to a thorough investigation that will be conducted in a timely manner. The incident came just 2 months after a damning Department of Justice report, oh my god, found Phoenix police engaged in a pattern of discrimination and excessive force. The Justice Department is aware of the McAlpin arrest. ACLU Arizona Policy Director Daryl Hill said the video showed another devastating example of Phoenix Police Department's racial bias and use of excessive force against people who do not pose a threat to them, including those with disabilities. Extreme and disproportionate reactions like this are well documented in the Department of Justice's investigation and report. Clearly, the report's findings are not being taken seriously. Critical changes are not being implemented by police or city leaders, and federal oversight is gravely needed. Showalter noted that that everything seen in the video postdates the DOJ report. It just runs counter to everything the city of Phoenix claims that it's doing in response to the DOJ report. So, this story is truly upsetting. A man who suffers from disabilities that made it impossible for him to recognize and comply with police requests is assaulted, arrested, held for 45 days before he met bail, and is now being charged with 3 felonies. They're essentially charging him for his face hitting the cop's fist. This is... obviously an extreme example, but the fact that this is what can happen in the realm of our justice system, and the fact that it so frequently happens to people of color more often than white people. I'm not saying it needs to happen more to white people or whatever. I'm saying this needs to not happen at all. The fact that it's a problem and it's so targeted at a specific racial group that the problem isn't being acknowledged because the power-holding, wealthy, powerful white people don't care to deal with it because it could never affect them. Yeah, this is what I talk about when I say, well, this is what the left in general talks about when they say that it's not about the individual cops, it's about the system. The fact is that these guys are still serving, and the worst thing, the worst consequence that they have to worry about, more likely than not, is a paid vacation. Let's be real. Worst consequence these guys have to worry about is a paid vacation. Or worst case scenario, truly worst case scenario, they get transferred to another police department. They have to leave the police department they're in, move to another city, and join another one. There are so many cases we've covered recently where problem cops have a history of getting transferred from police department to police department, from city to city, whenever they get into trouble. This actually happened recently. There was a pretty famous football player who was racially profiled, and had police brutality done on him. He had been pulled over for speeding, which he apparently was speeding. But, you know, he was mouthing off to the cop a little bit. But, like, I've seen white people be just as, like, confrontational with cops. And the cops don't drag the white people out of the car and tase them and pin them and like, cuff them up. And so it was very clearly, like, over the top and racially motivated. And that cop had a insane history of department transfers after clear cases of police brutality. I mean, hell, he had to get transferred. The fact that police departments were transferring him goes to show they recognized a problem. Yeah, don't expect a Derek Chauvin level of catharsis here where, like, there's any charges, like, found, like, pushed onto these cops. They're very likely to, worst case scenario, get a free vacation, or sorry, a paid vacation. Not a free vacation, a paid vacation, and a, like, worst case scenario, a transfer to another department in another city. Maybe even still in Florida. If Trump was in power, Derek would have been given the key to the city. Yeah. I mean, Derek Chauvin, like, the example I used about the conservative beer thing and these cops being on the logo for the next conservative, like, Republican beer, GOP beer grift, that was a real thing with Derek Chauvin. Like, there was a conservative beer thing that put Derek Chauvin on the label. And people bought it. This is why I'm scared of cops, even if some cops are good or just doing their job. As a black woman, all I have to do is look at them funny and I'd be shot dead. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, listen, even as a white person who is committing no crimes, I'm scared of cops. Let's be real. Cops are scary. Cops are people who have the unanimous power to just, like, decide, like, if a cop decides they want to kill you, what can you do? Legitimately, like, a cop goes postal and decides they want to kill you, like the Terminator, they want to hunt you down and murder you. What can you realistically do? Unless you can prove it to the police, they're going to be calling in backup, claiming that the shots fired, I've been shot at by this person. There are so many things they could say and ways that they could basically weaponize the entire police force against you if just some cop in, like, a manic state decides they want to kill you. And if you lift a finger to defend yourself, hell, if you so much as run away from the bullets, you might end up spending your life in prison. The fact that there is a scenario that can unfold where cops have that much power over your life and you have so little right to defend yourself, even if you survive the attack, it's terrifying. The power cops have is terrifying. It doesn't matter if they're a good cop or you're a white person or a black person or if you don't commit crimes. That is a terrifying idea that a cop could just, like, cops are still human people. They could just go postal one day and have a mental break and decide they're going to just start hunting and killing people and using their power as a cop to do it. And that could just happen. And you could just end up in their line of destruction. And they could just get away with it, and hell, you could get in trouble for defending yourself. That is a terrifying idea that cops have that much power. There have been murderous cops that have used their position to get away with committing crimes like that before, too, by the way. This isn't a fantasy scenario. Cops have done this. Hell, cops have beaten false confessions out of primarily young black men. That, like, a lot of the mistaken death penalties that have happened, where the death penalty and execution have been done by the state on false basis, and it's been found out that the allegations were false all along, and they executed an innocent man. The vast majority of the times, it's a young black man who had a false confession, literally screamed like, Twitter is the dead internet. Like, it is mostly bot accounts posting, replying, liking, and viewing. And because they all have Twitter Blue, they're making money off of it. I actually am pretty sure that Twitter Blue has become a really good method for just farming ad revenue off of bots. Like, there are people who just use Twitter Blue and an AI program to, like, post rage bait and get a bunch of views off of other bots, because, like, if you use the right keywords in your post, you get other bots that view them, and then when the bots view the post in mass, they have Twitter Blue and their viewers, and so that ends up making money. Twitter is almost entirely held up at this point by bots, not just in the posts, but in the viewers and repliers and the ones actually viewing the ads. The ad space that is sold on Twitter is a complete waste. It's not going anywhere, and companies are realizing that more and more by the day, and they're pulling their ads. It's why the site has been continuously falling and taking Elon Musk down with it. So right now, there are some big changes coming to Twitter. Even more awful changes, and these changes are so bad that even the people that are still around, that have hung on to Twitter, that are not just part of Elon Musk's Glaze Squad, they're jumping off ship. Like, no one is sticking around after this. Musk's X disregards App Store policies with new block function revamp. In a move supported by some and opposed by most, it looks like X, or Twitter, is finally going ahead with owner Elon Musk's idea of overhauling the block functionality. The idea of modifying how blocking someone works on X has been on the world's richest individual's mind for a while now. Instances of him talking about getting rid of blocking can be found as early as August 2023. Block is going to be deleted as a feature except for DMs, he wrote in a tweet reply last year. Subsequently, in March this year, in another tweet reply, Musk wrote, "It achieves nothing to block public posts. Time to get rid of block in favor of stronger mute." The idea was clear, and in September, Musk made a final comment about revamping blocking, stating that it's high time the block function will block that account from engaging with, but not block seeing public posts. Now, 3.5 weeks later, the change has been made official as coming soon, though it is still unclear if the platform can go ahead with it without risking removal from major app stores. The change will make it so that your public posts will remain visible to users that you have blocked. The idea here is that the blocking mechanism is redundant, considering that public posts can already be seen by those blocked if they simply create a new burner account. Under the new regime, those blocked will still be able to view your posts, though they wouldn't be able to engage with it. This includes not being able to like, reply, repost, or engage with the contents in any way. The change will mark a significant change in the way X operates. Since its Twitter days, the platform's blocking policy has always completely prevented blocked users from viewing the blocked profile and posts. As mentioned above, supporters of the change quote the idea that burner accounts exist and blocking is essentially redundant. Those opposing the change, rightfully so, quote concerns about the potential for harassment from stalkers. Yeah, this is obviously very much done because Elon Musk is himself a self-admitted stalker who has used Twitter and social media to stalk exes in particular. I believe it actually came out that he did in fact bug Amber Heard's Tesla, by the way, his ex-girlfriend Amber Heard. So yeah, that is absolutely like in character for Elon. This is entirely to like his stalker mindset. He has control over one of the biggest social media platform in the world, and as a stalker, he hates the block feature and is going to destroy it because stalkers don't like that women can block them. Xander Hall, imagine if Apple and Google you remove Twitter. I'm pretty sure Elon is going to make a smartphone because he's pissed with them, and it's going to be just as awful. Dude, I would love to see Elon continuously just dumping his money into failed attempts at, like, conservative, independent tech shit, and they just fall off. Then again, maybe they succeed. Elon Musk is basically already that at this point. X might already be skirting Google and Apple's app guidelines. How do I stop my stalker from seeing my post? I had enough restraining orders in my lifetime. I don't want anyone I block to see my tweets, period. Oh yes, now that creepy person you blocked can see your timeline again. Sure, they can't interact, but they can still screenshot and repost, etc. Fantastic. These are just some of the endless replies from users opposing the change. It is currently unclear what timeline X refers to when it says the change is launching soon. What is clear, however, is that it will likely have to overcome major hurdles to implement the change. X is listed on Google's Play Store and Apple's App Store, and both of them have stringent rules that listed apps must follow. For applications with user-generated content, this includes a strict blocking requirement. Yeah, for example, like what if what if some weirdo comments, how about this? This is a good example. Like there are a lot of YouTubers who are parents and who have their kids in their content, not because they make like exploitative family content, but because sometimes their kids show up in their content. If a weirdo starts commenting weird shit on your posts of you and your kids, like weird sexual shit, and you block them, why should that weirdo still be able to see all your posts and just not be able to interact? Why still give that weirdo the It's because Elon Musk himself is that weirdo, and he wants to empower other weirdos like him. It's becoming the site for racists, stalkers, sexists, and scammers. That's what Twitter is now. In Google's case, it says an app with user-generated content that offers user interaction with specific users, for example, direct messaging, tagging, mentioning, etc., must provide an in-app functionality for blocking users. Additionally, specifically for social networking platforms, apps must have an in-app functionality to report users and content, and to block users. Apple's guidelines lay out similar rules, suggesting that apps with user-generated content must offer the ability to block abusive users from the service. It is unclear if X's change falls under a gray area. It is, according to both Google and Apple's guidelines, offering block functionality. It's just that its new idea of blocking doesn't match industry standards, and Apple's and Google's guidelines don't specifically define what blocking should entail. Maybe it's in a gray area, and maybe Twitter isn't breaking any of the rules here, but what I can tell you is the response has been very, very negative. So much so, in fact, that Blue Sky is currently down due to being knocked offline after a mass exodus from Twitter. That's right. So many people are leaving Twitter and joining Blue Sky that it's currently down again. This happens very frequently where there's so much attention on Blue Sky after Twitter makes a really unpopular change. The site goes down because it's like infrastructure isn't made for the amount of people that suddenly influx to the site looking for a new Twitter. So, Blue Sky appears to be suffering technical problems after an exodus of users from X, formerly known as Twitter. The issues come after Elon Musk, X's owner, announced that the site would be changing how its block button works. That option previously allowed users to hide their profile from certain accounts, but will no longer do so. In the wake of that change, X-competitor Blue Sky announced that it had seen more than 100,000 new signups, but it appears to be struggling to cope with all these new users, with many reporting issues getting online and logging on. Now, I want to point out, by the way, that this here is one of the best examples of why these big tech companies hold such a strong monopoly. There is a really hard area to exist in for tech companies, whether they be social media sites or video hosting sites, where they start gaining a massive amount of traffic and success, but to facilitate that traffic, they have to invest a shitload of money in infrastructure upgrades, and the amount that they make off of the infrastructure upgrades will never, ever be dwarfed by the amount that they make off of the new influx of users. Google has been in this problem for a while, but they could afford it. Google has been able to afford to pay the expensive price of keeping their infrastructure going that has never been paid off by the income they make off of the users. But if they don't pay for these infrastructure upgrades, it's not a matter of YouTube not being able to accommodate as many people. It's a matter of YouTube not getting to exist because so many new people will keep coming to the site, and it'll just be down most times of the day unless they invest more money in improving its infrastructure. This is the case for every tech site, and every up-and-coming tech site has to deal with this lump, this like massive, nearly unsurmountable hill that is a massive influx of users actually means losing money. And you have to operate at a loss pretty much permanently in order to succeed in the tech space, in order to take on new users. Yeah, Blue Sky doesn't even have videos on it yet, and it's that hard for their infrastructure to host this many new users. This really goes to show how hard it is for a new thing to break into the tech space, because that bump of new users actually costing more money than they're making just to keep the site from being down is a really hard pit to get out of. Google was able to do it, Twitter was able to do it, but not everything will be able to do it, and I hope Blue Sky can, but it's a really hard bump to get over. In the wake of that change, ex-competitor Blue Sky announced that it had seen more than 100,000 new signups, but appears to be struggling to cope with all those new users, with many reporting issues getting online and logging in. Quote, "Welcome to the 100K plus people who have joined Blue Sky in the past 12 hours," the site's official Blue Sky account had posted earlier on Thursday. But hours later, hundreds of people reported problems getting online at tracking website Down Detector. After the changes on X went into effect, Blue Sky had used its official account there to highlight the function of its own block button. "At Blue Sky, we take online safety seriously," it wrote. "If you want to block someone, you can. It's your experience to customize." Elon Musk has claimed the current behavior of the block button makes no sense. He has argued that the change is long overdue and has previously suggested that it could be removed entirely. But critics have said that the change could put the site's more vulnerable users at risk. Well, that's exactly what Elon wants to do, though. Women and minorities are exactly who Elon wants to have at risk. That's literally, that is music to his ears. The block button can be used to hide posts from abusers, for instance, and stop them from replying. Elon doesn't want that. Quote, "One of the biggest functions of blocking is giving women the ability to stop weird men from constantly making them uncomfortable and scared. Elon is one of the men who makes women uncomfortable and scared," one user wrote. So, of course, Elon had to change that. I like that poster knew. That poster knew exactly what the deal is here. So, yeah. To give you an idea, I mean, here's a clip from Donald Trump. This is a story that is, going around today. About Donald Trump, Elon Musk's good buddy. Mind you, Trump is promising to put Elon Musk into a position in government if he wins. So, here's the way that Donald Trump talks about women. And this gives you a really good idea of why Elon is making these changes.
Just a fantastically attractive person from Alabama. She's a senator. And she called me up like emergency. Because an Alabama judge had ruled that the IVF clinics were illegal and they have to be closed down. A judge ruled. And she said, friends of mine came up to me and they were so angry. I didn't even know they were going, it's fertilization. I didn't know they were even involved in it. Nobody talks about it. They don't talk about it. But now that they can't do it, she said, I was attacked. In a certain way, I was attacked. And I said, explain IVF very quickly. And within about 2 minutes, I understood it. I said, no, we're totally in favor of IVF.
That's him explaining why he flip-flopped on IVF, because before they were running against IVF, it proved to be one of the most unpopular things they could do, and they immediately flipped on it, and now they have to, answer for that. But the way he talks about women, even when bringing up women that he likes, he has to talk about how attractive they are. If he hates a woman, he has to talk about how ugly and old they are. If he likes a woman, he has to talk about how beautiful and stunning and attractive they are. Because Trump regularly indicates, accidentally, without even realizing it, that he views women as objects and their value is directly correlated to how attractive they are. Elon Musk is much the same way. He's gone on record to talk about how he believes he has a responsibility as the world's smartest man, he does believe this, to spread his DNA as wide and far as possible. He unironically believes he is a superior life form that has a responsibility to impregnate as many women as possible to spread his superior genes. He has gone on record talking about this. His dad also believed it. It's why he's got so many brothers and sisters. His dad was of the same opinion. His dad was doing the same shit, impregnating as many women as possible. It's why Elon has so many brothers and sisters. And it's why Elon has so many kids, too, and so many exes. Because he literally believes, his own dad taught him, they have superior genes that they have a responsibility to spread. A responsibility. So yeah, just thought you guys would like to know that about Elon. It's really one of the core motivations of him as a person, so yeah. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this segment, found it entertaining, educational, or in any way enjoyable, then please consider leaving a like. Whether you're watching this as a VOD, a video, or just in any way after the fact, I really do appreciate it. Every thumbs up is free and pushes my content in the algorithm out to new viewers, and it really does help a ton. And of course, you can also comment and subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications if you haven't already, so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And of course, please, please, please consider following my social medias linked down below in the description, as they are pretty fucking awesome. You can see my other stuff that I do on other platforms. And don't forget to join my fan Discord too, as that is the main hub of my community and fan base. And it's also where I host game events, call-in streams, watch parties, and announce all my new uploads and streams too. And finally, if you want to, you feel like it, and you can afford it, please consider going the extra mile, helping me keep a roof above my head and the lights on here at the Xander Hall studio by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch at the Streamlabs link down below. Though regardless of how you watch or support me, I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. And even if you're a lurker, I really hope to see you again.
Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election say the obstruction charges against him should stand despite a Supreme Court ruling. Trump's attorneys say the obstruction of an official proceeding statute should no longer apply because he was never directly involved with obstructing the proceedings. But in a new court filing, prosecutors say Trump was directly involved in attempting to send fraudulent certificates to Congress on January 6th. For more on this, I want to bring in senior reporter Catherine Falders alongside with ABC News legal contributor Brian.
I'm so glad we're not like just pretending Trump isn't guilty now. I'm so glad it's finally like it's being taken seriously. He is still Teflon Don and nothing ever sticks to him, but God, we can hope. We can really fucking hope.
Buckmeyer for more. Catherine, first, start us off. I mean, what can you tell us about these new filings and the special counsel's arguments here?
Yeah, so what we know is this is all part of this effort by Trump's attorneys to get this statute, obstruction of an official proceeding, thrown out. Now, as you mentioned, what Trump's lawyers are arguing is that Trump wasn't directly involved in holding up the certification process, so he shouldn't face any obstruction of an official proceeding charge. Now, this is all coming to light because, as you remember, and we've talked about often, we know that after the Supreme Court's presidential immunity ruling, that watered down what special counsel Jack Smith could essentially bring in terms of charges. There was a superseding.
Yeah, remember, Donald Trump was born a year and like a half after, or a year and 2 months after Hitler died. That means that Hitler died, was reincarnated as a bug or something, lived for like a year and two months, died, and then was reincarnated as Trump. Think about that.
Indictment, a lot of that was eliminated. So Trump's lawyers are now saying, wait a second, there was no direct involvement. You bring this in your superseding indictment. This should no longer exist. Of course, Smith says that his indictment clearly alleges that Trump and his co-conspirators were involved in attempting to send those false slate of electors to Mike Pence. Of course, this is all happening close to the election, but they're asking the judge to weigh in, and we'll see what the judge overseeing this case says.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Brian, so we were talking about, the Supreme Court ruled earlier this year that obstruction charges in many of these January 6 cases could not stand. I'm curious, I mean, what makes this different?
Okay.
Yeah, so what the DOJ is doing is they're trying to make a factual distinction, even though both rioters.
This seems optimistic. Like, this could be some good fucking news, guys. Man, I'm excited for tomorrow's stream. We might have some really, really good news to cover tomorrow. Let's hope for it.
And the former president are charged with obstruction of justice. They're saying
that is true. Nothing ever happens.
The Supreme Court got to as to why they make that decision are fundamentally different than the facts of Donald Trump, and that's why the case should still go forward. It would be like me saying Gordon Ramsay and I both cook food. Yes, we both use fire to cook meat, but what Gordon Ramsay is doing is far different and superior than what I'm doing, and they're saying that because of those distinctions, you should treat them differently, as Catherine explained.
Okay.
I appreciate that metaphor. But Catherine, you brought up the timing of this, just 20 days out from this election. How significant is filing this right now?
It's a bizarre situation in a way because the timing kind of is what it is in terms of how it's played out in the courts. Of course, Trump's lawyers have challenged a lot of these proceedings to the point where it went to the Supreme Court. Now it's back at the district judge level, district court, where essentially the judge is saying, I'm not going to use the election to frame the way I operate in the courtroom. So this is all a product of...
Okay. So it seems like this judge is going ham on Trump. It seems like we might actually see a judge go for the throat on Trump for something really serious. And of course, yesterday you've got Vance just proving like why Trump deserves to be charged. Vance says no, Trump didn't lose the 2020 election. Just in case you guys were wondering. Man, are they guilty? Is Trump really not guilty? No, they're actively being guilty on stage right here.
First of all, on the election of 2020, I've answered this question directly a million times. No, I think there are serious problems in 2020. So did Donald Trump lose the election? Not by the words that I would use. Okay. So look, we could, but look, I really couldn't care less.
I love this lady nodding in the background, like, yeah, we won in 2020. We didn't lose that election; it was stolen. Republicans, we never lose an election.
If you agree or disagree with me on this issue, I've been asked just in the past 2 weeks. I think I've been asked probably 8 or 9 questions about 2020, and I give an honest answer because I think it's important to ask the question or answer the questions that are asked. But how many questions have I been asked about why Pennsylvanians can't afford gasoline?
I've said it so many times. The American people will elect Hitler himself, his corpse, his ghost, if they knew it would mean lower gas prices. That's all it takes, guys. I'm telling you. We are full. Oh, of course it opens in the wrong window. Okay. Let's check out this meme video that One Piece 34 has sent. Thankfully, this one doesn't seem to have such a niche appeal. I think this is Sonic music. Listen, at least Sonic music isn't trash. Hey chat, should I react to that video essay about why Sonic is so popular among people with autism? Should I like react to that video essay? It's actually really high quality, and it's made by a Sonic fan who is autistic, and it's like, you know, I was always wondering why are so many of us Sonic fans autistic? So I decided to deep dive into this, and they basically meticulously scientifically broke down why so many Sonic fans are autistic, or why so many autistic people are Sonic fans. I forget which one is the crossover. It might just be a circular Venn diagram. Did you see that your Sonic video popped off? It did indeed. It did indeed, Slashy. That was a good recommendation. I'm happy. I appreciate that from you. Okay. So many memes. Okay. Thank you for that, One Piece 34. I appreciate it. Listen, guys. Listen. I appreciate all of you. You have been immensely kind and supportive today. All of you coming out the stream, showing your support, your kind words, the donos, the likes, all those things have been overwhelmingly amazing today. I really do appreciate it. I really don't... Well, I mean, I say it a lot, but I don't know if I say it enough even. Regardless, though, tomorrow I will be streaming as well. I apologize for not streaming yesterday. I was originally going to stream yesterday and then take today off, and then stream tomorrow as well, so that I'd end up streaming on Friday, because my original schedule had me set to take Friday off, which doesn't work well for the watch party. So I wanted to shift my schedule a bit such that I would be streaming on Friday. And I decided it would be better to take 2 consecutive days off instead of like a day off, stream, day off. And so now I'll be streaming today and tomorrow.